control. Politicians and celebrities make deals behind closed doors, promises broken, and their income soars. Hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line.
Welcome, everyone. I don't know. Let me know if you can hear me. This is a new microphone, so I don't know how it comes off to y'all. But anyway, so today we're just going to be hanging out and chilling. I'm going to go look through some random TikToks. It's going to be a surprise for me and a surprise for you guys. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll come up with a better idea. But this is all I got for today. Damon is out with his friends, so it's just me. And I don't think I'm going to be here very long because I have people in town. My mom's in town and my little brother's in town, and we have to do like family stuff or something like that. So we are going to be doing that later. So I don't know, you guys want to do TikToks first, or do you want to talk about, like, I don't know if this is depressing. Yes, it is. It is a quickie today. So we are going to do, I don't know what happened here. If anyone has a link that you could send me, I don't know what this is. I'm terrified. The man that did the Molotov cocktail attack got on Tinder and he got all the matches from women. The women said he was hyper masculine. Do you have any links? I would like to see that. Okay. Simmer down. We like gas mask. Yes, we can only time out in Simperius when he gets a little bit if he just says any little bad words that you know, like that's on the edge, we can get rid of him for a little bit so he gets, you know, he learns his lesson. Elon versus Trump. Yeah, okay. So what's up? I do not know. I don't think anybody really knows what went on behind the scenes. So all we're doing is just guessing. It definitely had something to do with his big, beautiful bill. I mean, from Elon's point of view, he's trying to do like radical changes to the government to like reduce the spending. But there is somebody who talked about this. I have listened to, like, I don't know, 30 people talk about this. And I feel like this one person, what is up? Thank you for joining. And anyways, I feel like this one person, I think Tom Billio or whatever, his take on it seemed to me to be like the most, I don't know, like the most likely to be what happened. Let me see if I could find that clip and we'll watch it together. Okay. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, here we go. I found it. All right, so we'll listen to it and you guys let me know what you think. Is he correct? All right, let me know if you can hear it, because again, like, this is a new mic and I don't know what the settings.
Yo, that shut the internet down.
This is crazy.
Like, people who aren't even in politics were texting me last night and were just like, hey, did you see what's happening? Like, the girls are fighting. Girls were fighting was trending on Twitter yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like a way to say it?
Yeah, like that's what the youth are saying. It really came down to the big, beautiful bill. Elon
What
tweeted.
do we think?
I think
this
that's
is my
where
hypothesis. Yeah, same.
He said, I can't take it anymore. This is an abomination. We talked about that. But then Elon just had time and he just kept going. He started retweeting other tweets. He started bringing up Trump's tweets from 2013, 2020, all these other things that talked about a balanced budget and balancing.
Yeah, I think Trump popped off about him and that was that. But this is utterly fascinating to watch these insanely powerful guys be dumb and say, like, just keep my name out your motherfucking mouth, Drew. Like, what? Oh my God. So the number of times that I have said in business to somebody, but you'll be going into a meeting, something really untoward will have happened. And I will remind people as we go into the meeting, we're not going to do anything emotionally satisfying in this meeting. And so if you're going in because this person hurt your feelings and you think they're out of pocket, in this meeting, we're just, where do we want to go? What are the things we have to do to get there? And when people start slinging mud, it's like, dude, what are you doing? So when you start looking at the timeline, there's no doubt that Elon fired the first shot in terms of saying that the big, beautiful bill was trash. Now, he doesn't call Trump out by name, but basically, and he said, you who voted for it. Trump may not have voted for it, but this is signature legislation for him. So he's going to feel called out by that. So that is mistake number one. Mistake number two, though, is during the press conference when people asked, like, hey, what about the fact that Elon is popping off about this big, beautiful bill? And then Trump starts going into, I mean, he literally says that he has Trump derangement syndrome. It's like, oh my God. And that I would have won the election without him. It's like, what are you doing? And so now you get into this spiral where they are both approaching this as if what they're seeking is emotional gratification.
Let's start at like the very beginning. I'm Elon. I'm sorry, I can't take it no more. This is a bad bill. We should do something to balance the budget. To me, that's not fighting words. To me, that's criticism. That's it's going to increase the deficit. I've been banging about deficit. My whole job was to try to cut government waste and abuse. So me saying that, it's not like it's left field. I think it escalated, and I'm going to blame Elon because this is the same guy that thinks his gaming stats. So of course he's going to take this a bit more petty. Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House. Republicans would be 51-49. Such ingratitude. To me, I think that was the line because then it became to your point about the bill to about I'm now going to take.
But Trump had already said he has Trump derangement syndrome. So if you look at the timeline of how this all played out.
The Elon tweet, the Trump press conference?
Yeah.
Let's jump to the Trump press conference and see maybe.
Yeah, so Elon basically just said, hate the bill. And then this happened.
Elon knew the inner workings of this bill. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden, he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have all. We want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different. And I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody. There
are a few different pieces that are on the table in terms of what it could be that Elon is really freaking out about. And I've got certainly my take. There are some tweets and clips from other people like Naval that I want to play because I think that they get pretty close to what's really going on. The pieces on the table. He hated the bill because it had pork in it. He hated the bill because it was negative for his companies and it hurt the EV subsidies that he was getting, and he just wants it for his own sake. He's pissed because the NASA guy that he suggested didn't get in there. Okay, which of these is it? It's entirely possible that it really is, when you look at Elon's sequence of behavior, that what's really going on is we're headed towards a fiscal cliff, and people are acting like it doesn't matter. And this has been a lot of Elon's rhetoric is, guys, this is exactly how countries go broke. People are acting like we can't default. We will eventually default. You will eventually owe so much money on your fucking debt. You can't do anything else. Are people not seeing that? Like, hey, guys, there are physics to this shit. I just got in this big debate over a business decision. And I was like, there are physics to every situation. And to be mad at me for pointing out that there are physics. Like, you will hit a point where, like, let's say you're trying to do an initiative inside of a business. And it's like, if we do that initiative, then we go from being in the black to being in the red. If we have a goal that says we must be in the black and you do that initiative and that pushes you into the red, are you saying I would like to officially change my goals and now I don't care about being in the black? Being in the red's perfectly fine as long as we get this outcome. At least then we can have a sensible conversation. Elon has been saying from the fucking beginning, I'm coming in, I want to cut these costs because we're headed towards a fiscal cliff. We have to get this together. He buys X, Twitter, and he says, we need free speech because this is what matters to humanity. We want to go to Mars because this matters for humanity. We want to get EV going because this matters for humanity. This guy's been remarkably consistent. He's the richest man in the world, but sleeps under his desk, doesn't have a fancy house, like literally sold all of his like houses and stuff and is like, that's not what matters to me. What matters to me is getting this stuff going. He slept on the floor or couch of, for sure, Tesla. I don't know about SpaceX, but maybe. Definitely X. Definitely the government. This is not a guy who's optimizing for, I want a lavish lifestyle. This is a guy who's, you suddenly have a lot more predictive validity if you're like, oh shit, he actually really believes in these things. And he's being hyper petty about this shit. And it is a weird part of his personality that if I were advising him, I'd be like, for the love of God, like this kind of thing is not going to get you where you want to go. But I don't think he's on video as early as 2021 saying, I don't care about the EV subsidies. Remove them. That was when Biden was in office. He was saying, remove them. They don't matter. Now it's possible that he's so annoyed that they removed the subsidies for EV vehicles, but did not remove the oil and gas subsidies. Maybe the unfairness just got under his skin. But You're not going to be able to predict Elon's behaviors unless you go, this is somebody who actually believes the things that he says. There's a tweet, in fact, that I think gets this pretty well. I think it's the Naval one. He says, Elon's stance is principled. Trump's stance is practical. Tech needs Republicans for the present. Republicans need tech for the future. Drop the tax cuts, cut some pork, get the bill through. But the idea that Elon's stance is principled and he just cannot stop himself from saying exactly what he thinks. And then Trump is a politician who is slathered in guile, who is saying the things that he needs to say. He's shaking the hands that he needs to shake. He's compromising where he needs to compromise. That whole reality of politics feels like it's a red pill unto itself when you realize what politics is actually like. But politics is riding on the back of the truth of the way that the human animal is. And the reality is we lie because it's effective. Because it's effective, you're forced to do it. And so as a politician, you're forced to lie. You're forced to do back scratching. You're forced to do quid pro quo because it all works. And like, I think secretly deep down, we all know that's how politics functions. And I think what you're seeing right now is that collision. Elon put everything at risk, torched his companies. I mean, just his own like ability to enjoy his life, like for 6 months longer. He feels some kind of way about, and after all of that, this guy's still going to drive the car off the cliff.
It's a slap in the face.
It is and it isn't, man. So here's the reality. It's entirely possible. It's all inescapable. Given the nature of politics, you have to drive off the cliff and that there's no way to avoid it. That's so defeatist. I don't even like to say it out loud. This is what it feels like. Watching my own journey has been surreal because at the individual level, optimism is the only thing that makes sense. At the macro level, it's really distressing. Here's the analogy that has come full into view for me. Life exists on two levels. I want you to imagine you're in a car, and in the car are your loved ones, and you're on a road trip, and you're having a great time, and you guys are laughing, and you realize love matters, and the way that you spend your time matters, and you're here with these people that you care about, and everything just feels right, and your kids are in the back seat, and they're bickering a little bit, and that's annoying, but you know they're going to grow up one day, and they're going to do cool shit, and you and your wife, you know, sometimes you have frustrations, and sometimes you butt heads, but like, they're your best friend and you get to have sex with them and it's like fucking rad and you've made some money in life and things are going good and look at what you've created and look at what you've done. And then, Drew, it also exists on the macro level of you're on a satellite looking down at the car and you realize, uh-oh, that road is headed towards a bridge that's blown up or just a cliff. And it's entirely possible that the people that built the road built it to go off a cliff, or they know the bridge is blown up, but the road still goes there. And there are people that run up to the side of the road and they're screaming, hey, the bridge is out. But you're in the car and you're having a good time. And so the question becomes, how much of your time do you spend zooming out and going, we're headed towards a cliff? Because it is so nakedly obvious to me in the same way that I know where my business is when I look at the spreadsheets. Just look at your P&L. Everyone's naked in a P&L. When you come out to the satellite level and you look down, you just see, oh, it's inevitable. We drive off the cliff. The debt will bankrupt this country as it has bankrupted every country before it. But are you an asshole if you just stay up at the satellite and you forget that inside the car it's rad? I don't know what to do with that, because when I go up to the satellite, some part of me feels like I'm betraying my own worldview of like pursue fulfillment, stay focused on the things that are wonderful and beautiful because it may be inevitable. And at the same time, when I'm in the car, I feel like now you're just pretending. Now
you're like not looking at the problem, you're ignoring the problem when it goes away.
And it's like, am I betraying my worldview of you can always make change? As long as it doesn't violate the laws of physics, you can do something about it. And so I come to this really weird intellectual thing that has me sketching out between, I want to be in the car with my wife and think about the beautiful things that we're creating. And I want to see if I can do my small part to nudge the car in a direction, to get at a minimum, take your foot off the accelerator.
All right, I did not want to get into like depressing topics, but this does remind me of this video that I was watching. And this is with, I mean, I think I should let her introduce herself because I don't want to like get it wrong. But she was Catherine Austin Fitts, an investment banker and former Bush administration official known for her inclusive critiques of government finance and advocacy for transparent economic systems. She later established Solari Inc., publishes the Solari Report, offering insights on global finance and governance. So what she says, it's a little bit hard to like follow. I had to listen to this a few times and I still think I haven't finished it yet. there's a lot going on here. And every time I've showed this video, it's only been out since like May. Every time I've shown this video to people, they get depressed and they kind of like mentally want to shut down. Okay, so I guess I should show you guys this video. I wanted to do fun stuff, but let's get depressed. Yeah, let's get a little depressed. Let's hear this is a little bit about who she is. Let's try to go a little bit faster. She's pretty fast spoken, so I might have to slow it down. But I really like how she explains it. And she was in government. She goes into that, and then she talks about all like there's so many different layers, and this part of the government doesn't really connect to that part of the government, and everybody's kind of like funneling money. And I'm at the point where she talks about how she's realized that it seems to be allegedly, possibly, that they are funneling all of the money that they're taking to make their own, like their new financial system. Like they're going to destroy everything and then start a new one. Yeah, so maybe she's got the plans, or maybe she's wrong. I mean, but I don't think it looks that way. So let's just hear a little bit.
Government working with the Bush administration and then getting into like finance and all this stuff.
So I grew up in Philadelphia, and I got very interested as a child I got very interested in money and why everybody was destroying everything on the theory that somehow that made them money. And so I decided I was going to understand how all the money worked in a neighborhood. And what I didn't understand until I went to Wall Street is you literally have to know how all the money on the planet works to understand how the money in a U.S. neighborhood works. Because it's organized, it's very centralized, and it's organized so that, so if you and I go to the White House, we'll say, here's how all the money works on housing, here's how all the money works in military. But it doesn't say, here's how the money works, in West Philadelphia. So you can't, now with relational databases, you could, and I've worked on that. But anyway, so I went to Wall Street because I wanted to learn how all the money on the planet works. And I went from sort of department to department to department, learning all the different markets. And then I figured out, it's all being rigged from Washington. It's the Treasury and the Fed. So I got to go to Washington. So I went to Washington. I was a partner at a firm called Dillon Read. And in fact, I have an online book called Dillon Read and the Aristocracy of Stock Profits about it's a case study in the intersection between organized crime and Wall Street and Washington. Anyway, so I went to Washington in the first Bush administration to be Assistant Secretary of Housing. And it's the Federal Housing Commissioner. And that's the person who oversees all the mortgage markets, both the credit, most of the credit, and then the rules and regulation. So, and I ran smack into all the mortgage corruption because a lot of the black budget is financed with mortgage fraud. And anyway, so I left, but I discovered the internet when I was in the administration. And so I created an investment bank that could use software tools basically to get all the information about how the money works and make it accessible to neighborhoods. So anyway, but my company, I started a company called Hamilton Securities Group. It was very successful. And we got hired on competitive bid by the Clinton administration. So I worked in the Bush administration, but we got hired by the Clinton administration to be financial advisor for the FHA. And we led $10 billion of mortgage auctions trying to stop the mortgage fraud, which was they had other ideas. They wanted to take the mortgage fraud the other way so we could have the financial crisis. Anyway, so I ended up in 11 years of litigation with the federal government, with the Department of Justice. Have you ever seen the movie Enemy of the State?
Yeah,
Will Smith?
It's been a long time. Yeah.
I played Will Smith in real life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I played Will Smith in real life. So we had 18 audits and investigations, 12 tracks of litigation, physical harassment, a smear campaign. It was right out of the movies. And of course, so Will Smith is a successful attorney. And in fact, his office in the movie is right next to where my office was, our company office was in Washington. And, everything's crazy and the world makes sense until he finds Gene Hackman, who's a former NSA employee, who explains how covert operations work. And in fact, now if you come to the Solari Report, we have a whole 12-part series called Deep State Tactics. So if you can't find Gene, you can listen to Deep State Tactics and understand how it all works. Anyway, but I got a real crash course. I'll never forget. First time I saw Enemy of the State, I'm like up in the front row. I'm like, oh, it's my training movie.
Wow,
right?
That's amazing. So when you talk about the mortgage fraud, what specifically do you mean, and how does that work?
So financial fraud and mortgage fraud is like the joy of cooking. There are thousands of recipes, right? But if you want to know the most prominent, likely famous recipe for mortgage fraud and HUD housing, all you have to do is look up the Tony Soprano TV show did a series of 4 parts on HUD fraud by Tony Soprano.
Really?
Yes. and the basic, and it's interesting because one of the things that got me interested in money is it was this fraud that destroyed the value of homes in my neighborhood when I was a little girl. We had 4 boarded up, foreclosed properties, catty corner to our block in West Philadelphia. And it had a huge sign and it said, by order of the Assistant Secretary of Housing, Federal Housing Commissioner. And I used to think, who is that asshole? And so when I was sworn in, they said, by order of the president, you are now the Assistant Secretary of Housing. I thought, I'm the you know. And I went downstairs and I said, how many boarded up homes? How many foreclosed properties do we have in the foreclosed industry? My deputy said 50,000. I said, well, that's going to change. And that was part of the problem. But okay, so let's look at the basic fraud.
Okay.
So there's a home in the foreclosed property inventory of the Federal Housing Administration. They had financed a mortgage. They put an insurance policy on the mortgage, so they take the credit risk. It defaults. They pay off the mortgage holder and then take back the property. So the property's sitting there in inventory. Okay. So let's say the property is worth $100,000.
So like when you find a house for sale on HUD auction, that's the situation.
Yes, probably.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Probably. Okay. So let's say the house is worth $100,000. Okay. You sell the house to someone, or you who's going to do sort of a quickie fix up. Okay. And you let them turn around and sell it at you put a mortgage. Let's say it's worth 150 now. They've fixed it up. You put a mortgage on it for 250, a lot more than it's worth.
Right.
Okay. They sell it to a not-for-profit who immediately defaults. Right. You pay off the 250 mortgage and take the property back, and you keep doing it again and again and again, and generating lots of money out the back door. So when I became FHA commissioner, we would find private one property in Chicago, which had financed and defaulted 5 times in 1 year. Wow. I know. You can imagine that. Anyway, but here's how I can make even more money.
I had a friend who did this. Not a friend. He was a guy who came in. He was one of my first guests on the podcast, and he was buying up houses in Tampa, and he was taking them and getting his friend to go do appraisals on them and like marking the appraisal up by like 5x, and then getting loans on it.
Right. That's sort of that's a variation. Now, here's how you really make a lot of money. When you issue the mortgage, you don't issue one mortgage, you issue 10 mortgages on that house, and you put them in a mortgage pool that's wrapped by Ginnie Mae, so you can sell them in Dubai, and nobody knows the difference, right? Right. And as long as there's money, you can skim out the back door of the FHA fund, no problem.
Wow.
Right. And it's really funny. So I had warned people about this kind of fraud, both when I was assistant secretary and then when I was the lead financial advisor. But you know, you're you know what it's like when you fight these winds, and so I'm driving down the highway in Georgia, and my old roommate from college calls me and she says, Fitz, have you seen the Soprano TV shows? They have the HUD frauds on the Soprano TV shows. And she said, I guess you're telling the truth. And I said, wait a minute. So I was the former assistant secretary of housing, and then I was the lead financial advisor for HUD. And I've told you about this for years. You don't believe me until it's on the Soprano TV show. She said, that's right. So I said, that's why I say in America, fact is fiction and fiction is fact. If it's on the news, it's likely fiction. You know, if it's on the Soprano TV show, there's you're getting your training film.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Well, remember, during the financial crisis, within a very short period of time, there was more money shoveling out the door. I mean, the TARP IG said total money the taxpayers financed $27 trillion. $8 trillion would have paid off all the single-family mortgages in the country, right? So the total bailout of the mortgage fraud was 3 times all existing mortgages in the country.
That's bananas.
So one of my favorite quotes, I was told by a former intelligence officer who was involved in the financial fraud that Oliver North had said that HUD was the candy store of covert revenues. And based on what I cleaned up and what I dealt with, I'm absolutely convinced.
HUD was the candy store of covert revenues. That is... That's got a nice ring to it.
HUD's missing just from its financial statements $1 trillion from 1998 to 2015. So that's my whole thing about the missing money, which Catherine is that's one of those issues Catherine won't let go of. It keeps banging.
Okay, so can you explain to me, and I know you've done this well on other shows, but how does the banking system work? I know everybody thinks about how like the bankers control the world. It's like the bankers, the intelligence agencies, and the money washing with the drug cartels and all this stuff with funding, wars and overthrowing countries. And there's so much going on here. But at the very top level of all of this stuff is the bankers, right? Right.
So here's how any business, any enterprise and any planet has a business model, an economic model on how the fundamental work. So the Western world for 500 plus years has operated on a model called central banking warfare model. Okay. The central bankers print money out of thin air, and I'm grossly oversimplifying, but they create the money, and then the military makes sure that people take it. Okay. And that keeps the liquidity going. So there are two sides of the coin. And when you say military, think intelligence and military, because surveillance is such an important part of the force. So you literally have the bankers running monetary policy, but then you have the military and intelligence backing it up, and you need both. It's like two hands of one coin. It's like two sides of a coin. Okay. Right. And what the bankers do, you grew up in the United States. Most people listening to this grew up in the Western world, and we've had for over a century a model where the bankers run monetary policy, and then the people's representatives run fiscal policy. So the whole basis of the American Revolution was no taxation without representation. That means the people's representatives, the Congress or the state legislature, run the fiscal policy is the way it's supposed to be. And what has happened in America for the last 20 years is we've had what I call a financial coup d'etat, where the bankers decided we can't trust the people and the people's representatives to manage the fiscal side. So we're going to change the model, and we're going to take over control of both monetary and fiscal. And of course, if that succeeds, and it's gone very far, but it's not all the way. So let's say we've gone 70% of the way, we have 30 more to go. If that happens, then we lose the ability to determine taxation. In other words, we get no representation. If they want the money, they just take it out of our accounts.
Could you explain for a third grader what fiscal policy means?
Sure.
Monetary policy means?
It's monetary policy means I get to create the currency. Fiscal policy means I get to collect and spend the taxes. Okay. So let's look how your federal government works. Your federal government, grossly oversimplified, gets about half of its money to fix the roads and do it and run the military. And it gets the money by half of the money from taxing. So we all pay federal taxes. We all have fees, various fines, whatever.
Half the money comes from the taxes and half from where?
Half comes from the central bank.
Okay, got it.
The central banking mechanism right now, the currency is issued with debt. It doesn't have to be, but it is. So the New York Fed, so the Treasury, your bank account as a citizen is the New York Fed is the depository for your bank account. Okay. So they are the federal government's bankers. The Treasury account is at the New York Fed and its members' banks. So the New York Fed is owned by its members, but they also act as agent. So you're going to have the largest banks in the country owning and directing the New York Fed, choosing its president, but also, doing depository functions for the Treasury. So they, as agent, are also doing various things for the Treasury. Okay. So they have a function called primary dealer. And a primary dealer is authorized to go borrow money using Treasury bonds and bills. So they borrow money. So that's sort of part of how the currency gets into existence. And they put it in the Treasury bank account. So half comes from taxes and half comes from borrowing, a lot of that coming from your retirement account or my pension fund.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So our retirement fund, or it could be a Norwegian pension fund or sovereign wealth fund, are buying Treasury bonds and the money's going into the bank account. And that's where half comes from, which is why if you're the president of the United States, it's like getting an allowance from dad. If you don't do what dad wants, you're not going to get your allowance. You don't have sovereignty. You don't have financial sovereignty. And you don't have information sovereignty because you, as the president, can't have a private telephone call. You got 17 intelligence agencies.
Even the president.
Yeah, especially the president. They'd much rather know what he's saying than you or I was saying, right?
I guess that's true.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
Right. So how are you going to run a government if you don't have information sovereignty and you don't have financial sovereignty? How are you going to do that?
That's a good question. What do you think?
So have you heard my red button story?
I wore Chubby's classic line swim trunks to the beach this weekend, and boy, am I loving their fabric. It's so smooth and straight.
In the United States that are making money from poisoning people and taking care of poisoned people, and they're very resistant to stopping the poisoning. Yes. Right? That's what this big debate is about, and it's a budget debate. So,
are you talking about like food and healthcare, basically?
Talking about food, healthcare, spraying, what's in the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah.
If you look at the federal budget, so let's go back to the model, the central banking warfare model. The key to the central banking warfare model is if you're running the reserve currency for the world, the dollar system, you have to make more from running it. You have to make enough from running it to fund your military and intelligence. There's a lot of work in governing the sea lanes and being the global cop and running the trade model and all of that. Yeah. So you have expenses. And so when you hear the president yelling at everybody at NATO, like, you have to share more, what he's saying is that the subsidy from the dollar system minus the interest on his debt minus the cost of the military intelligence is no longer working, and he's got to rebalance the model.
The subsidy?
Yeah.
What do you mean by the subsidy?
So running the dollar system, you get to extract a tithe. So let's say tomorrow we created Danny Jones dollars. Okay. And whenever you wanted some, you could just print it off your computer.
Okay.
And you could pay people throughout this community for food or, or for services for doing your landscaping with Danny Jones dollars.
And I have my own printer.
And you have your own printer. That's a big subsidy, right?
Okay. Yes, that is a big subsidy.
That is a big subsidy.
That's an unlimited subsidy.
It's not unlimited if you have to pay everybody in America off to go along with what you want to do. So part of the big cost of the running the model is the American people vote based on domestic issues and don't understand what's involved in running the whole global model. Right. And so you've basically got to buy them off and pay them off to get them to sort of go along with whatever you want to do.
Got it.
And that's expensive. So if you look what happened at the end of when the Soviet Union collapsed, the U.S. said, we want to be a unipolar model. And one of the reasons I left Washington, I said, your plan won't work. And the failure in the Ukraine was the message. Plan failed. And now we have Rubio, the Secretary of State, saying, we're going to be it's a multipolar world now. Yeah. So the unipolar model failed. And so the model has to change. We're still running the reserve currency, but you have to rebalance the model. The unipolar plan didn't work, and it wasted a great deal of capital.
Right.
So now we have to change the model. And so if you see the president talking about, I want Canada to be the 51st state, or I want Greenland, he's trying, if he can't go east-west, remember, they were going to collapse the Soviet Union, get all those resources and use that to maintain the unipolar model vis-a-vis China. Okay, that didn't work. So now he's talking going north-south instead of going east-west, right?
Right, yes,
right.
Yes.
So he's just trying to figure out, you have to change the model. And if you look at the debate and discussions going on in Washington, the unfortunate thing is, whoever is in the White House, they have to change the model. They don't have a choice. The technology changes in the world, competition among various parties means we have to change the model. We have to evolve the model. We have to. And so the question is, how do you do it? And unfortunately, there are too many people in America sitting around and saying, wow, we don't want to change. But that's not, it's not changing because whoever's in the Oval Office now wants it to change. It's changing because they got to change. You have to change with the times.
I don't think most people even think about this kind of stuff. I think most people are more focused on squabbles that are irrelevant to geopolitics or the financial system.
That's
or the
how you keep them away from the third rail. If I'm running this, I don't want the general population to mess with the third rail. Do you know what I mean by the third rail?
What do you mean by the third rail?
On a transit system or a railroad system, you have two tracks. That's where the wheels go. You have a third track. There's a little trim tap that flips over, and that's where the electricity runs.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that's the power. Okay. And you don't want them messing with the power. So you keep them busy with divide and conquer and the unipolar pendulum and all that kind of stuff. But that has nothing to do with what's really going on.
Right. And when you say that they need the American people to pay for what they're doing, when you mentioned that earlier, were you specifically talking about individuals, or were you talking about like lobbyists?
So here's what I mean. If you look at the federal budget last year, so the 2025 year, we had a military budget of $857 billion.
Yeah.
And Hegseth wants to take it to $1 trillion. He says it needs to be $1 trillion. The HHS budget is $1.8 trillion. And that's because we're all poisoning each other. American people are poisoned. They're chronically ill. And if you look at our healthcare system, it's almost double the cost of Switzerland's healthcare system. So we spend more per capita than just any country in the world by a lot. And so it's very expensive. And so Mark Skidmore, who is the professor at Michigan State University, who's helped me a lot to document all the money missing from the federal government, he just finished a calculation. We just did a show with him on the Solari Report. If we cut disability, so the number of people in America who are disabled, back down to 2010 levels, you would drop that HHS budget by $500 billion.
Wow.
Right. So that's what it costs to poison your population. And that's why this battle around the HHS budget and policies is so fractious, including the fact that the government is legally liable, if the truth comes out, for poisoning Americans. Which means if you look at what Toby Rogers says, Toby Rogers is the guy who's really tried to cost out the price of autism. So I got onto all of the HHS issues because I was an investment advisor. And what I discovered was that healthcare fraud was the #1 cause of family bankruptcy or loss of family wealth. And #2, in my experience, was financial fraud. So people were just losing their wealth because they were being lied to. They were being lied to by the healthcare system.
By hospitals?
Everybody.
Really? Like legitimate healthcare organizations? Okay.
Yes. And many of those legitimate organizations really didn't know. I mean, my father was a very successful surgeon. You know, I sort of grew up. Unfortunately, we'd say, "Daddy, what did you do today?" And then he'd really tell us.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. No, the dinner table at our house was very, we used to read his surgical books for fun.
What kind of surgeon?
He had, during the World War II, they had taken the University of Pennsylvania Hospital and literally picked up most of the people and the organizational structure and moved it under Stillwell to Burma. So he grew up in, or he did his internship and residency in China, Burma, doing trauma. He was a MASH unit, right? And when he came back, you know, because a lot of the big improvements they make in surgery happens in wartime because they have so much, so much opportunity. And when he came back, he worked and redesigned how the emergency room should work all over the country.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and well, it was really funny because both sides of my family, all the competition, there were very competitive people on both sides, but it was like, okay, who did the most to save civilization today? Okay, your grandfather did this and your father did that, and so for example, his father had gotten the laws changed so they could bring penicillin to Tennessee and had introduced penicillin to Tennessee. And that had been a huge lifesaver for many people. So at the dinner table, it's like, your grandfather brought penicillin to Tennessee. What have you done today?
So this idea that you talk about of the control grid. Right. Can you explain what the control grid is?
Sure. So let's say the way George Kennan at the end of World War II said, we got 6% of the people and 50% of the resources. And to keep that going, we're going to have to be really tough. We're going to have to drop a lot of bombs. So Goldwater came along and he said, we're going to have to drop a lot of bombs and be really tough. And people said, no, we're good Christians. We don't want to, that's not us. So Jimmy Carter came along and he shivered in front of the fireplace and said, we're going to have to cut back. And the American people said, no, we don't want to do that. So then the Bushes, I always say the Bushes came along and said, you're all good Christians. Here's your check. Don't ask questions. Okay. So what we've been doing is we've been subsidizing the American people with the blessings of sort of racketeering around the world in the third world and running the warfare. So when you go from a unipolar to a multipolar model, you lose the ability to extract the resources you need to keep that going. So for example, if I want to trade my Danny dollar for, labor and resources all around the world, and the BRICS nations don't want to take the Danny dollar, then I'm losing the ability to subsidize the American way of life. Okay, so I have to cut back. So one way to cut back, so you can say, oh, well, there's a climate change emergency. We want everybody to cut back. And you can try that. Or you can, throw on tariffs, and that's going to cause even more inflation. Everybody's going to cut back. But at some point, if you're really going to cut people back, it's very helpful if you have complete control. So if you're the bankers and you want to control fiscal policy and collapse the current constitution system, if you can exercise complete control with digital technology and an all-digital financial system, you have complete control. So go back to the pandemic. If we say, okay, we want you and your family to lock down, then suddenly your money won't work outside your house. You can order a pizza to be delivered, but you can't leave the house. If you have an electric car, ultimately you can turn off the electric car. And if they say, well, we want you to take the shot, it's mandated. If you don't take it, we'll turn off your money.
Right.
So you're talking about complete control.
And this would be utilized by spending the government money and giving people money. And central and in addition to having a centralized, controlled digital.
This would be used by using the private and the public sector financial train tracks to exercise complete central control. So I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a wonderful video that I keep showing of Augustine Carstens, the general manager of the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, in 2020. I was brought up, basically, I was trained to be a central banker.
Okay.
And I had never seen a central banker tell the truth in open public in my life until I saw, when this happened, I almost fell off my chair.
Being sleep deprived makes you perform as poorly as someone who is legally drunk. These deficits include slowed reaction time, reduced working memory,
who does a money market show with me.
Yeah.
And we were chatting as we were watching this IMF panel. And I freaked. I just said, did you see that? He said, don't worry, I got the clip. I said, that's, because in my world, it's impossible. Anyway, but here's what he said. And it's a 59-second video. You can run it if you want. If you go to our website, we have a section called Video Shorts. And in the Financial Transaction Freedom, we have about 100 short videos. And this is the first. He basically said, with the digital technology, and he was explaining central bank digital currency, CBDC, but you can do it privately with stablecoins. It doesn't have to be a CBDC. It can be a stablecoin. And he said, we can make the rules of what you can do with your money, and we can enforce the rules of what you can do with your money.
Right.
So if they say, Danny, your health isn't what it should, you can't eat pizza. Your money won't work to buy pizza.
Right. Or you can't travel outside the limits of your area code or your zip code. Your credit cards turn off if you go out there, so you can't buy gas, can't buy food.
Right. But the reality is with AI and software, I can make a entirely granular control system just for you, one person at a time. Right. And so I can do it for
not a broad brush. It's very specific.
It's 8 billion and I can collect all the data and apply my social credit system just to you. If you're good, you'll get, maybe you can travel a little bit more. If you're bad, you get locked down. Maybe
you can explain this to me, because I've never had anyone explain this to me before, but there was a story that came out a couple of years ago, and I forget the name of the country, but there was a country somewhere in Eastern Europe where the United States basically offered to pay them like a couple $1 billion to mandate vaccinations and all these sort of controls during the pandemic, and they refused to do it, and they refused the money. But basically, the United States was paying another country billions of dollars for these mandates.
Right. Well, they do that all over the country and all over the world.
I don't understand that. I don't understand how that works. Can you explain, why? What is the benefit of us giving billions of dollars to some other random country on the other side of the world for them to lock down their own people?
So there could be many possible reasons, but one is prototyping. So, this is something you're planning on doing in your own country, and you want to see how you could get it to work in another country. And it's a prototype. A lot of times those are prototypes.
Okay.
So,
see if you can find that article.
Yeah, help me to know which country it was.
Yeah.
Sounds like it might have been Hungary.
Oh, might have been Hungary. Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
So I found I don't have access to it, but it says U.S. ends vaccine funds for poor countries.
No, that's not it. No. It might have been. It was something that came out where the president of that country made a public statement and called out the United States.
There was one guy who called out the United States, and then he had an assassination attempt. The 5 of the countries that refused to do the mandates in Africa, I have a big article about it. Their leaders either got assassinated or thrown out in the next election.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, it might have been Hungary. Check on Hungary, but it was one of those countries right around there.
So, my guess is, because I worked for several years with a group of doctors and scientists trying to understand what was happening with the injections. And I absolutely believe that they were trying to install operating systems in people's bodies.
Operating systems.
Yeah. So
this just got dark.
No, if you listen, there's a great clip from right at the beginning of the pandemic when the chief scientist officer at Moderna says we're installing an operating system in people's bodies. And he, he's describing something that can be used plug and play for future vaccines. But if you look at all the material on the Internet of Bodies, you're talking about putting materials in people's bodies that make them basically easier to interact with telecommunications and digital technology.
You're talking about like the 5G stuff and like how 5G can connect to this stuff.
So we
nanobots. There's a whole. I've done a podcast on this before. It's so bizarre and out there and like hard to grasp, but like
it's not hard to grasp at all because
it just seems like sci-fi.
No, it's not sci-fi at all. It's not, just like they're tagging livestock. I mean, one of the things that really helps you to understand what this looks like, I live in a farming community in the United States, and if you know about if you've ever studied livestock management,
no, never.
A lot of this makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
And they are tagging all the livestock, but this is simply a way of, if you get a lot of these nanoparticles into the human body, you're creating the equivalent of an organic barcode. Okay.
But I don't think there was actually any hard evidence that there was any nanoparticles.
So I strongly recommend you. We just published. Patrick Wood at Technocracy News. I was the moderator. We just published the second symposium called Omnivore, and this one is called The Battle for the Brain, and it gets into the Internet of Bodies. And what here's what I believe, and I'm not a scientist, so don't ask me to explain this at all. But if you look at all the patents and research and other work done on the Internet of Bodies, you know, it is clear that there are mysterious ingredients in the food. There are mysterious ingredients in the spray. There are mysterious ingredients in the injections. And the question is, what are those for? And I think it's very intentional. I don't think it's an accident. And I think one of the goals is, as the chief scientist officer at Moderna said, is to install an operating system in your body.
That's pretty dark.
Yes, it's very dark. So go to the Purdue Engineering website, to the Internet of Bodies, and look at the whole Internet of Bodies.
I'm sure you're familiar with the story of that guy, Charles Lieber, who I think was a Harvard nanobiologist. There's actually a story I just saw on Twitter this morning. He just got hired by China to go work in a university in China. He got busted basically for like taking millions of dollars from China.
He got busted to keep him quiet, is what I believe.
He got busted to keep him quiet?
Quiet.
Okay, let's see. What does it say? The Internet of Bodies is formed when the Internet of Things meets the human body to transform it by empowering us humans. A subset of blah, blah, blah represents blah, blah. A human body comprising of function. What the heck? Powering, harvesting? This sounds crazy. Hold on. Can I make it bigger so you guys can kind of see it? I think that's good. Okay. Let's see. And okay, the network of tiny devices on, around, or in the human body, comprising a function like sensing, analytics, communication, harvesting. Harvesting is a scary freaking word. Okay. These nodes range from connected healthcare devices such as continuous glucose monitor, connected pacemaker, ingestible pills, to consumer electronic devices such as smartwatches, wireless earpods, VR headsets, blah, blah, blah. Probably like the Aura Ring, the Whoop that you wear at night, like all these other devices. Okay. All right, they will have unique properties and requirements for seamless integration of human electronics, augmentation, and cooperation, such as existence of body medium that can be leveraged for communication, safety, and security requirements. Since the body being involved, medical devices, blah, 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 has to focus on a new dataset, partial, full interface on body-worn devices, distributed computing around the body, one hub multi-sensor distributed on body network, multi-human network, distributed intelligence, including in-sensor and on-hub analytics and extreme size, power and latency constraints towards battery-free, body-powered electronics. What? What the heck? Okay. Affiliated with Purdue College of Engineering and originating from Purdue Engineering Initiatives in engineering, medicine, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the goal for it is to bring multidisciplinary innovation to electronics for the human body to empower lives. What? Unites academic researchers and industry practitioners to collaborate on cutting-edge research and exchange of ideas to promote deeper understanding, implementation of the Internet of Bodies. What the crap is going on? What? Okay. What the hell is this? Let's see. What else we got? Yeah. Oh, what did I hit? Okay. Here we go. Back. I found the page again. I lost it. So they want to make us cyborgs. Research. What the heck is going on? Okay. What? Brain, body, in vitro devices. Human and animal? Experiments. Okay. Medical grade designs. Collaboration with doctors. Brain machine interference. Devices for neuroscience. Okay, what is this? Medical device security, physical, blah, 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 latency. I don't know what the hell this means. privacy policies and ethical. There's no ethics when you do this shit. Okay. What? This is scary. Predictive intelligence. Ugh. Let's see. On-body antenna design and stimulations. They're going to stimulate our bodies. Okay. What the heck? Projects. Let's see. Sensors, on-body intelligence. What did they know? Okay. Oh, God. Well, this is great. I'm very excited. As you can see, we're going to be cyborgs or we're not going to make it. I don't think all of us are going to, I don't think this is for us, you guys. I don't think this is going to be for us. Yeah, they're trying to do that. Yeah, I mean, okay. Let's see. In most sensor nodes in use today, the communication energy is 10,000 times higher than the computation energy. For battery-powered devices, this calls for the need to communicate information rather than raw sensor data to extend the device's battery life. Coding raw data to information helps prune the number of bits to communicate, saving the overall energy consumption. Blah, 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 blah. What the heck? See some studies. The body is a network to safeguard sensitive data. Turn flesh, look at this, turn flesh and tissue into a secure wireless channel. Okay, not good. All right. Enable covert body area network using quasi-test human body communication. Okay. All right. Let's see. Physically and mathematically secure quasi-static HBC node for I don't know what that means. See, I don't know what the hell this is. All right, let's see. What does this mean? EM power, blah, 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 blah. Some stuff. Current domain. I don't know what the fuck that means. What else? I don't even know how to say that. Animal body communication for chronic untethered rodent potential record. What? I don't know. This doesn't sound good, you guys. Okay. All right. Are expected to reside on the surface of the human body or be implanted in the brain. Such devices need to conform to medical grade standards to be less cumbersome for the subject to carry around for extended periods. Specific to implantable devices, since they are in constant contact with bodily fluids, they need to be waterproof to protect internal electronics from shorts and corrosion. Further, the materials used for packaging these devices should avoid chemical reactions with bodily fluids that can adversely affect health, but at the same time ensure good channel conductions for communication signals. Further, since replacing batteries, devices can hinder continuous monitoring of health. Firmware, blah, 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 blah. User experience. Battery-free energy harvesting possibilities. Yeah. There's going to be two races. Yes. The Silicon Valley tech giant people are making these breakaway civilizations already. Have you guys heard of one? I think it's in Honduras. I wanted to talk about Damon. I wanted to talk about it with Damon, but we haven't had a chance to go into it. I haven't had a chance to research it, but this is the Wikipedia page, so you guys can look into it, of the Prospera. And this one is Prospera ZD. I don't know how to say this. It is a charter city On the island of Rotan, Honduras, it is one of 3 zones for employment and economic development. So it's basically, these are basically like, in the past, they used to be called company towns, where you live on a place, your job is on the place, your home, your healthcare, everything that you have is tied to your job. You are monitored. You can't say anything bad about the company, or you lose your job, housing, healthcare, everything all in one. It's all bundled. If you live in these places, you have to, like, you're being fully controlled by them, and they are going to be self-governed, right? So there's going to be no like federal oversight. It's just, you live here, you work here, you agree to their laws and their laws alone. All right. So this one in particular, it's operating under this whatever legal regulatory. It's basically autonomous, right? And it is part of a broader trend of project aimed at implementing, I don't know what the hell this theory is. It's a libertarianism. Oh yeah, libertarianism. That's not, no, this is not libertarianism at all. What the heck are they even talking about? No, this is not what that is. It's total, it's Big Brother. It's not libertarianism. This is the complete opposite of libertarianism. Yeah, company store lifestyle. You guys know about that. Like, your money only worked at the company store. So like, you could never leave. You were trapped. You could never make money to leave, because that wasn't real money. It was company money. All right. So anyways, they amended in 2013 the Constitution of Honduras to allow the creation of these type of zones. And I think recently, whoever's in power now wants to take that away. And then this city, these charter cities, are suing Honduras. And if they win, they're suing for, I think it's like 1/3 of the GDP. So like, it would bankrupt the country. And maybe, I don't know, like, what happens if they bankrupt the country? Can they buy the country? I feel like that could be the end goal. Like, oh, you're not going to let us do this? Well, we're going to bankrupt you, and then we're going to buy you, and then we will own you. And then we can do whatever we want. Basically, it's going to be like the companies. How is this the best policy? How? Explain. Yeah, I think it's more like this. That's what it is. It's libertarianism, guys. We want you guys to all be free and blah, 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 blah. But in reality, you're never leaving. You can come. It's like, what is it? Hotel California. You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. So, I mean, you could, but you got to be on the streets. Good luck. If you got nobody to take care of you, nowhere to go. I mean, I think they can. If you got enough money, and these corporate people have like tons of money, and they've been, remember, like this lady said before, they're funneling trillions and trillions of dollars. So they have enough money to start a new currency, make a new complete financial system. Or they could do like these breakaway civilizations, these little tiny company civilizations, basically. Yeah, and China did buy Hong Kong. So this can happen. All right. And I think this one in particular was bought by Peter Thiel or something, and he's part of the quote unquote PayPal mafia, guys. So like, and that's also Elon. So like, these are all these people. And I think their dream is like a techno-feudalism place where like all these tech bros that made all this money, they can make their own little breakaway company town, what's it called? Techno-feudalistic civilizations. And then they'll just like be monitoring us. But they want to monitor us down to like the biochemical level. So that way, let's say Elon Musk has, hypothetically, let's say Elon Musk has his own techno-feudalistic company town, right? Like the Tesla town, right? Or whatever. He likes to call things Doge. He's into that. So like the Doge town, let's say. So you live in the Doge town. You work at like a Tesla, whatever, plant. and your home is owned by them, and they just basically let you use it while you're there. Your healthcare is tied to them. They let you use it while you're there. Your kids' school is tied to them. They, you know, you get to go to their schools based on like how important you are within the company. I guess there could be different tiers of school, or everybody goes to the same school. They get to teach your kids, like, instead of government propaganda, it's going to be company propaganda. So then the kids get raised like to like, you know, pledge allegiance to the company, right? Yes. So it's going to be this whole thing. And not only that, and since we have the technology, like they said, the internet of bodies, you're going to have things implanted in you, or you're going to be sprayed with things that will enter your body, like little tiny things that they can use to track how you think and feel about something. And there's somebody else that I was watching the other night. I forgot his name, but I think he's from the Museum of Tarot or whatever. And he was being interviewed, and he was talking about how we have documentation that they can already do this. So when you're looking at your phone and you're like on TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube, when you're watching it, it's not just tracking like your eye movement, that it knows already, because we have already had this information on like subtle things in your whatever, that they can tell if you agree or disagree, if you like this, whatever. So you know how in, I think it's like North Korea, whatever, if the dear leader passes away, you have to cry, right? And everybody's crying in the middle of the street, and they're being like watched by armed guards, let's say. Go away. And if you do not cry, they can, you know, your whole family could be gone, right? Or missing. So what they might be doing is, if they have this stuff in you and they feel like it, they can actually tell by your body chemistry whether or not you're like really earnestly crying and they gotcha, or if you're just faking it because you're scared, or you're faking it and you're not scared and you're angry and you're like mad that they're making you fake it, or like millions of other things. They can tell with this internet of bodies technology. So we could be in a world that you better love the company through and through, because if you don't, your whole family is in jeopardy. So that's a fun thing to think about. So if this is a possibility, if this is in the realm of possibility, then I mean, there's going to be no freedom, especially if they destroy the financial institutions of the world and we have no money. Maybe there's like Bitcoin, maybe something like that, you know, but they could make it illegal. They could steal it from you. You know, like there was a time where the country needed gold, so it just took everybody's gold without giving them anything to compensate. They just steal it from you. Like countries can do that to their citizens. So they could take whatever Bitcoin you have. They could take your ability to go online that's not monitored away from you. They could take whatever they want away from you in these techno type cities. And if that's where we're going, now we have to think how we're going to raise our kids, because one of the things that woman from North Korea said, she was complaining about how come my grandmother knew the time before and didn't tell the grandkids and the great grandkids, like she didn't tell them like what happened and, you know, like how to think and, you know, what was like before. She didn't teach the kids that and the grandkids that. And part of the reasons why is technology like this comes out now. They know, if your kids know, by like how their body reacts. So if the kids don't act right or say something, now they're in danger. So like, are you going to want to teach your kids independent thought, knowing that it's going to potentially put them in danger? So now we have other questions. Like, what do we want to do in our situations? Like, none of us are tech bros. And I feel like the tech bros, maybe they didn't cause this. I don't think they caused this. I think they're just working the system and they made it work. And now they've amassed all this wealth and they've been able to get everything, whatever, like they have now. So now they're seeing what's like the writing on the wall, like the government, the deep state or whatever, the people in the government that don't really leave when the administrations change, those people, they could be saying, you know what, I think we're going to just drain all the money. Like this country and this system is collapsing. Let's drain all the money we can so we can get resources, make underground bunkers so we can be safe, just in case AI takes over, just in case there's unrest when the system of government and financial whatever system collapses, just in case we'll have these escape places to go and whatever. So if that is the case, you know, if this is a sinking ship, you have the politicians funneling their money to like elsewhere. Then you have the tech bros going, okay, everything's about to crash. Let me take all the people that I like, you know, that work for my company, and let's make a breakaway civilization and in different places, whatever. And, you know, maybe we'll be safe that way. So it's like there's multiple different avenues where people are thinking to do. And you can't really blame them, because if you know, like that woman, like assuming everything she says is pretty much that's what's going to happen. Knowing this and being us who don't have billions and millions of dollars or whatever, what are we going to do with this information? Exactly. I don't know. I don't see any of us having any resources to really do much. I mean, maybe like, okay, we should probably think about what we're going to do, right? So if we don't have these resources, we don't have the millions of dollars for breakaway civilizations, they are being incentivized to poison us. So this country, like the land of this country is so poisoned that we're probably not going to do well if we try to grow anything or sustain ourselves here after the collapse. So maybe we should be thinking, like Honduras, untapped land, right? I don't think bunkers are going to do it. Guys, I need sun to be happy. I'm not going underground. I don't think there's going to be like a nuclear winter. I don't think that's how it's going to end. I think it's literally going to be the financial system collapse. There's no way to make money or get money or transfer money. There's going to be a few people who get like company jobs, and it's a very insulated, heavily guarded little villages. And for the most part, it could be like a even worse. You guys ever played Cyberpunk? Like that video game? I know there's maybe a cartoon. I never watched it. But something like that where you got like, it's going to be full of crime and full of like trafficking of different things and maybe like strip clubs and stuff like that. So you're going to have like the majority of people are going to make money like illegally augmenting each other. So if you know how to do that, you could have some way to survive. The rest of the people are going to make, I don't know, they're going to, if you're really, really smart and a part of the elite, then you're going to be able to work at a desk job in some like techno, whatever, monitoring company, be one of those people. But for the majority of us, we're gonna have to learn how to. Yes, it's gonna be great. But look, we have to decide what we're gonna do, right? Because if it's all going down, let's prepare now. We don't want to be unprepared, so we have to think about what are we gonna do. So, like, put a one in the chat if you're just gonna go to like, you know, illegally augmenting people with technology so that they can like do crime or whatever. So you can be one of those people. And like put a 2 if you're going to do the crime, you know, you could do that. And put a 3 if you're going to be like, most women will probably be somewhere in like the sex industry. Sorry, that's how it's going to play out. So, and then let's see, anyone who talks smack about the government or the companies or whatever, they're going to be taken out. So like those people are gone. Let's see what else. Yeah, those are pretty much our options. I don't really see much else to do. If we live in cities, we're toast. You have to be in crime. or the sex industry, crime or that. There's no, for us, I don't think there's anything else. Unless, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you are going to be able to get into like you're so smart in tech stuff that you can break into like the tech industry and come up with something that's going to make them be able to do like, I don't know, super fast speed or sight or night vision or some weird thing, technology that you can invent, and then you'll have a job. But I don't know too many of us that can do that stuff. And what do you teach your kids? I don't know. Do you teach them to think for themselves, or do you teach them to be safe so that the technology doesn't pick up on stuff? No, we're not self-deleting. We're going to figure this out. And maybe we just find a nice tropical island that nobody really cares about, that doesn't have that many resources, and we just live off the land. We can get some goats and some chickens and some donkeys and some ostriches and some animals and stuff like that. And we can grow tropical fruits, have our animals and our tropical fruits, and we'd have a pretty good life, you guys. We could live off of a tropical island, an untouched tropical island. I do not feel very comfortable about living off the land in the United States because the land is poison. And like she said, I don't know what they're spraying on us, but it's not just for weather modification. I'm sorry. It's definitely like heavy metal type stuff that gets into you. You breathe it in, and then they have like a little tracker for you. That's what I think it is. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. So anyways, let's see what else she has to say, because I want to hear the rest. Where is that video? Here we go. It is tainted everywhere, but if you live on an island, the air circulates off the island better. So you're going to have better air quality. Like when you're in inland or when you're surrounded by mountains or something like that, like the air doesn't flow out, so it gets trapped, and then you get accumulation of this stuff. So that's why actually being in South Florida, if we don't flood, which is a possibility, it's pretty good here air quality wise, because yes, they're spraying on us all the time, but we have really good, it's flat. So the wind goes and takes most of everything off of us. But yeah, it is tainted everywhere. I do know that Mexico, I believe, made them stop doing it. I'm happy for you too, Coomer. All right. Yeah. So anyways, let's go back to this one. See how else we're gonna. Yeah.
They had other ideas. They wanted to take the mortgage fraud the other way so we could have the financial crisis. Anyway, so I ended up in 11 years of litigation with the federal government, with the Department of Justice. Have you ever seen the movie Enemy of the State?
Yeah,
Will Smith?
It's been a long time. Yeah,
I played Will Smith in real life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I played Will Smith in real life. So we had 18 audits and investigations, 12 tracks of litigation. If you look at the federal budget last year, so the 2025 year, we had a military budget of 857. This is because I work for.
And how specifically, where does that money go specifically? Like not just to news organizations or like TV networks, but like, do you have any or what is your understanding of how money is spent to influence ideas?
So the first thing, you spend a whole world of money on education to get the universities to present a certain kind of, view of the world and to promote certain things. So it starts with education. A huge one, of course, is media. So media is also, in all the different ways you know it, from news to social media, is affirming and encouraging people to go certain ways. And it's not just official ways, like, oh, please go, vote in the next election.
Right.
It's entrainment. It's subliminal programs. There's real mind control pumping. And you're pumping that out where they're watching sports. You're pumping that out where they're watching porn. You're pumping that out to get them to think that certain things are real, other things are not real, to head them in certain directions. So you have enormous overt media and enormous covert media. Right, that's affirming all those things. Now, your third big expenditure is on intelligence, because you're now tracking everybody. So with AI and software, I can track every person and I can watch what they're thinking and saying and doing, and I can feed back to nudge them if I want them to go in a certain direction. So if I announce lockdowns and I want everybody to really lock down, then I persuade them this is all, I mean, we persuade everybody there was a pandemic when there was no pandemic, right? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. We're in a world now where everyone has their own reality, unfortunately. It seems like the idea of what is true is slipping away. And there's so many different flavors of reality, whether that be ideological, religious, political, whatever it is. It's everybody has just a different truth on so many different levels. It's almost impossible to have any consensus of reality anymore. And
I think it's very easy.
Do you?
Yeah, because if you just track the math of time and money, it's concrete. I mean, it doesn't lie.
That's why I love you. I think that's beautiful. That's
well, do you know how I came to it? I'm a little girl in West Philadelphia, but because of who my family was and where I went to school, in 1 week I would go back and forth between all these different worlds and cultures, and I couldn't make sense of anything because everybody was lying. They were lying to themselves. They were lying to each other. I was like, I've been born into a nut house here. And so finally I thought I have to find a way to navigate this. And so what I came up with was the mathematics of time. I love math, and that's my, math is one of my gifts. The mathematics of time and money. And what I discovered is if you could figure out the math of time and money, then you could figure out reality.
The math of time and money can figure out reality.
Where, how many hours, you just count up all the hours. Where are they putting their hours? Okay, count up all the money. Where are they putting their money? How do they spend their money? So I'll give you an example. When I was the assistant in 1984, I overheard two guys on Wall Street, billionaire types, talking about how they were going to roll out entrainment subliminal programming on TV. And it scared me to death. And that was it for me in TVs. I never had another TV again until the administration. I had a friend helping me decorate. I bought a big house in Washington, and she bought a TV for me without my permission. And she said, you can't work in the Bush administration unless you watch the Sunday shows. So I had it for a little while, and then I gave it away because I hate them. And but because I was the FHA commissioner, I'm working with the budget for the home mortgage market. And if you're working with that and at the time, there was a big S&L cleanup. So I'm working with all the credit in the financial system in the budget. And because we're going through the 21, we competed for appropriations with 21 other agencies, I basically had to learn the whole budget. So I'm sitting there tracking day to day exactly what's happening in the budget. And then I'm watching, so we're over here whacking up the money in the budget. And you get on the Sunday shows and they're talking about what's going on. And they got this whole fantasy about what's really going on. It's got nothing to do with what's really going on. They're just like, wow, yeah. And so for a year.
The Truman Show.
Exactly. It was the Truman Show. I'm watching. I know exactly what's going on because I'm looking at the money and I'm dealing with the money. And they're going la da 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 da. And it's entertainment. It's got nothing to do with what's going on.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So, but if you follow, that's why
What year was this?
That was 89 and 90.
89 and 90.
Yeah, 89 and 90. And that's why. So under the law. So there at the time there were 4 mortgage insurance funds, but there are 2 of them are most of the money. So under the law, and the big one, the single family fund, by law, the first thing I did when I got to Washington is I read all the law related to what my responsibilities. I want to know under the law, what am I responsible to do? So I read the law, and it said that I had sole fiduciary responsibility for what was then the $320 billion mortgage insurance fund. And I was required by law to run it on a self-sufficient basis. So the premiums we charged for the credit had to cover the default and expenses. So I'm required to run it. So I decided, okay, I'm going to try and get how much money are we making and losing? So I called in the budget officer. They bring in the budget, and it would have gone 2/3 of the way to the ceiling with all the budget justifications. So I'm a speed reader. I read through it several times that weekend. I called the budget officer in on Monday. I said, nowhere in this budget does it say whether I'm making or losing money. He said, that's not in the budget. I said, if I have sole fiduciary responsibility to run this on a self-supporting basis, I need to know that.
Right.
He said, well, the accounts have that information. I said, well, give me their number. I'm going to call them. He said, they report to a different assistant secretary. You're not allowed to talk to them. And I said, well, that's going to change. So, no, I had raised a lot of money for George H.W. Bush, and all I got was a pair of cufflinks, and the accountants moved over to report to me. So I did. I used all my pull, and I got the accountants moved over to report to me. They come in the first day. We are losing $11 million a day in the single-family fund. So I said, look, all real estate's local. We got 10, at the time there were 10 federal regions, they're less now. I said, we have 10 federal regions, 80 field offices. Where are we making and losing money? They said, we don't have place-based financials. I said, we mail out checks. We have zip codes. I said, this is a rush. It's an emergency. Get the numbers. Yeah. Well, it turned out we were making profit in 8 regions and losing everything plus more in 2 regions, which was, it was a black budget. It was the Bushes and the Clintons. It was the Texas region, which included Arkansas, and the Colorado region. It was just like...
It was a black hole of money just vanishing.
Yeah, it was the mortgage fraud. So you remember, we had the S&L crisis in '89, and that cleanup was a tremendous amount of mortgage fraud. Anyway, so I could talk about all those guys at mortgage fraud all day long.
And then the day before 9/11, Rumsfeld says that we have, what was it, like $4 trillion that was
No,
unaccounted for?
They were missing, DOD was missing 4 trillion, but he said 2.3.
He said it was 2.3.
But it was 4. And I was working with a reporter, and we had a huge story coming out that Friday about the whole missing money and what it meant per person. So we had calculated for each taxpayer in each state how much you were missing. So, yeah. So that was the financial coup, which had started in 1998.
And where did all that money go?
Well, that's what I've been trying to figure out. And without the bank statements, I can't, so I've tried to map out, because money, remember, you're too young to remember, did you ever see the old Pillsbury Doughboy commercials where they squeeze down on one and it pops out someplace else?
Oh, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, so you're probably too young. So when the money started to going missing from the Treasury and the federal government, the offshore havens started to just balloon, so this is going down and this is going up. And anyway, but I have tried to unpack where the money's gone and what they've been spending it on. And I have a lot of guesses. But
what's your best guess?
I think it's many different things. The first thing, I think you've been financing a new system. So I call it the breakaway civilization, but I think you've literally been financing a new system. And it's like when you're running a company and you keep the old systems going and you get the new systems up and you bring the resources over steadily. And then at some point you're ready to bring this down. And I used to say the pandemic was the breakaways breaking back in and taking over. But I think they've moved a lot of money out. And in theory, if you look at how much has been stolen, it's enough to run a global government on an endowment basis. It is.
How much roughly total has been stolen?
So as of 2015, there was 21 trillion in undocumentable adjustments, but that's not cash. And it could reflect money coming in. So you could be bringing money in from the war zone. So how much is net missing? It's impossible to tell. But given everything, I would be amazed if it wasn't at least that much missing. So now what I think you've been doing is you've been making enormous investments in black budget technology and infrastructure. So, so I think you've got a huge physical infrastructure. Some of it, when you did 9/11, you were able to move a lot more black budget on budget. And so that sort of eased the pain, because the problem with the black budget as of 9/11 was to get that money, you had to tell, the fraud had gotten so dysfunctional and wasteful. So you wanted to do more on budget. But, whether it's building a new governance system and a new endowment to run it, or invisible weaponry, secret space program, the infrastructure underground to platform that, I think it's all those things.
One of the theories that has been bouncing around in my head from recent guests that I've had on is that military contractors have been taking money from the U.S. government and from the Pentagon to develop futuristic weaponry, develop new physics, alternative propulsion craft that have some sort of alternative propulsion systems since the 70s, or even actually probably since the 50s, I think.
Here's how it works. Okay. 47. Do you understand the legal structure of how they did it?
No.
Okay. 47, you passed the National Security Act. Okay. And that gives you the ability to set up the secret infrastructure. 49, you passed the CIA Act. They literally had to kill the Secretary of Defense to do that. They assassinated Forrestal to get that done. We have a lot of interesting material on the Forrestal assassination on the Solarian. You should go through. Yeah, you should learn about Forrestal and what caused that assassination and what it did to create. You literally took several sections.
Wasn't he a KKK guy?
Don't.
Okay.
Not that I know of. He was the president of Dillon Reed. He was a partner of Dillon Reed.
Okay. I thought he was in the KKK for some reason. I might be thinking of someone else. Never mind.
I don't know. I've never read that about Forrestal. I've really studied him, but I don't know.
Okay.
So
don't worry about it, Steve.
Well, even if he was, that's not what got him killed. What got him killed was standing in the way of creating Israel and giving them the nuclear bomb. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. And he wanted disclosure on the black budget. He was for disclosure on the black budget, and he didn't want Israel. He didn't want that part of the organized crime syndicate to get sovereign powers. So anyway, what happened was they made a deal on the 49. They got rid of Forrestal. They made a deal on the 49 Act. That created the CIA. Okay. And that made the CIA the most powerful banker in the world. Eisenhower put him in charge of Area 51 security. And literally, once you look at how the Exchange Stabilization Fund and sort of the different money aspects of the 47 and 49 Act organized to work, you've now created this financial mechanism that combines covert violence and makes it the most powerful banker in the world. I should say on the covert side, the most powerful bank in the world is the BIS. So
didn't they use, I could be wrong about this, but didn't Dulles take a bunch of money from the budget to rebuild Europe after World War II to build Area 51? That's right.
I don't know if he used that to build Area 51. He ran a slush fund out of the Exchange Stabilization Fund from Sullivan Cromwell and before they got the 49 Act created. And part of that was to create this infrastructure, because part of it said you can appropriate to all the different agencies and then claw it out secretly to give it to the intelligence agencies, right? So they created, after World War II and all the slush fund money they got from World War II, they created a mechanism to constantly replenish the covert money. But here's the big thing. When Bush came in during the Reagan years as vice president, his deal with the intelligence agencies was he gets to run, or with Reagan, was he gets to run the National Security Council and the intelligence agencies. He creates an executive order signed by the president, by Reagan, that corporations can do highly classified work. Now, let me tell you what that means. What that means is the Treasury can issue an infinite number of bonds and use that money to pay corporations to do highly secret things, including just gifting them all of the black technology funded by the taxpayers and moving it onto their balance sheet, and do it in a secret way that generates enormous profits in the stock market.
Wow.
Okay. So now you've got a way. Now, what's the number one source of campaign contributions?
Companies like this.
Capital gains.
Capital gains. Okay.
Capital gains. I have a stock. It's trading at a multiple of 20. I give you $1 million a year contract. That goes up by $20 million. Your stock goes up. That creates capital gains for the investors and the executives, who then turn around and they or their law firms make political contributions. It's a kickback system.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you read my book, I have an online book called Dylan Reed and the Aristocracy of Stock Profits, and it was designed to explain to you how that kickback system works.
Right.
Because, and the quote we have at the beginning is an old New Jersey street saying, make a law, make a business. So every time the government does something that makes stocks go up, they get a kickback of campaign contributions from that. Right. And of course, the taxpayers funding the whole thing. Now, let's go back to corporations. Now I can transfer trillions of dollars of invaluable black technology into the corporations and fund them with taxpayers' money to own and develop it secretly and keep it away from FOIA. So you and I can put in a FOIA and we can't find it because it's behind the corporate veil.
Right. Now, one of the fears about this is that allegedly since the 50s, when they started working on some of this stuff, is that it's gotten so advanced in these black corporate, or these black military industrial complexes, aerospace corporations, whatever you want to call them, that they've become essentially more powerful than the U.S. military because of the technology that they have they own.
Now, I can't say that it's more powerful than the U.S. military because they need the U.S. military to do a lot of what they're doing.
Well, essentially the way it was described to me is that these corporations or these organizations basically are so powerful and have such advanced technology that they have their own Air Force, their own military, their own Navy, everything.
Right. And we've had senators stand up and say this, but what I call them is a breakaway civilization.
Right.
They have broken away and they are so much more advanced. Now, if you look at their assets, what I would say, if I could assert jurisdiction, those are our assets. Those were either gifted or stolen. They belong to us.
Right.
But it's not corporations who have a lot of technology. It is a breakaway civilization. And they literally think of themselves as a separate civilization and not subject to our laws.
Separate from not only the United States, but separut from the world, from all nations.
Separate from the human race.
Separate from the human race.
Right. In other words, so I'll give you an example. And I've told this story many times before. When I was at HUD.
True Classic isn't just a shirt. It's designed to feel good and make. I know you've talked about like space research and even developing underground facilities, these deep underground, is it the same thing? These DUMBs, these deep underground military bases.
Right.
They're investing in all this stuff simultaneously.
That's what it appears to me to be. Okay. So, and remember, a lot of the underground bases are publicly announced or known as existing. So, you know, and there's a lot of things you would do or store underground, just any good risk manager would do it. So it's a continuity of government thing to have those kind of facilities.
Right.
So, you know, but I think my guess is the infrastructure is a lot greater than has been publicly made aware of.
Like they have full cities under there that would be livable.
That's what I don't know if you've ever watched the different videos of the truckers, but if you spend a lot of time talking to the truckers, because the truckers have to deliver a lot of material into those bases, and you'll get a lot of reports about what they've seen or heard. So that's
have you seen the videos of those salt mines? There's like giant salt mines over somewhere in
Poland?
Maybe Poland, yeah. And they're just enormous. They're just these caverns with I would say they're 100 feet tall on the inside. And it looks like New York City underneath a mountain. Really? They're insane. And I would imagine it could be easily converted into some sort of underground city, but they're salt mines apparently. And there's just like lines of semi-trucks driving through them.
So I live half the year in the Netherlands, and the power of Northern Europe grew up on the fish.
Look at that right there.
Oh, wow.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I bet that's Poland. I don't know.
So, yeah, where's that, Steve?
It's huge salt mine planetarium. I don't know.
Click the link. Boop, 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 boop. About.
Dracula grave? Really?
You can find
So
it, Steve. We
Northern
believe
Europe
in you.
grew up on the cod and fishing. You know, a huge amount of the wealth in Northern Europe came from the ocean, from the fish.
Right.
So I live in Friesland, and one of the things that made the Frieslands were amazing world travelers, and they figured out how to get the salt from the Polish mines and salt the cod. So you could put cod in a barrel, salted, and you would have animal protein that was good for 10 years. So you could sail anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, it's in Romania.
Romania.
It's all the way out.
Okay, well that would be consistent with Dracula's grave.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. There's insane photos and videos of this place that are just mind blowing and kind of terrifying too.
It reminds me of Total Recall.
Yeah. Look at that. That's wild.
So, I will tell you that in my opinion, you have a corporate infrastructure which is literally out of control. So one of the things, I used to have these fights with the defense contractors because I was required to get the accounts when I still needed data, and the systems were run by the big defense contractors at HUD. And they would refuse to give me the data. So I'd have these wars with them. It's like, who really runs HUD? Is it the defense contractor, or is it the person who's legally responsible?
Right.
You would have these huge fights.
And then, one of the biggest problems is like you were alluding to earlier, is they control the government by lobbying, right? Like they
can control the government by killing people who don't do what they say. That's how they control the government.
Right. And lobbying.
Lobbying, they're different layers, but, I'll give you an example. So I litigated with the federal government for 11 years and then fought with the IRS. And anyways, 11-year shaggy dog process. And when it was over, I didn't want to go back into the investment world without explaining what had happened. So I wrote an online book called Dylan Reed and the Aristocracy of Stock Profits. I've tried to publish it 3 times. The last time, each time I ran into just enormous headwinds and problems and threats. But the last time they threatened to kill somebody in my family. So I just...
What?
Yeah.
Who?
I can guess where it's coming from. I know how it was delivered. And I know who delivered the messages, but who started it, I can guess, but I don't know. But I took them seriously. I thought, okay,
it was delivered through somebody like in person, through somebody you know.
Yeah. 2 were acquaintances, 1 was somebody I know, but it's very carefully crafted so that the people who deliver the message don't necessarily understand what they're a part of. But
right.
And I thought there was a reasonably good chance that they would do it. So I did. You never know.
And you just published this book on your website?
It was already
online.
It was already online, so I just left it online. It's not censored. It's there.
Right. Okay. So so first of all, what is the Bank of International Settlements and how are they tied to this breakaway civilization?
So the Bank of International Settlements is a central bank of central bank. So the 63 largest, most important central banks in the world belong to the BIS. The top central bankers meet there regularly. They have a group called the Financial Stability Board that defines systemically important institutions, which to me appear to essentially get some of the benefits of their sovereign immunity. And they have the power to move money and hold it on their balance sheets secretly. So if there's 21 trillion missing from the U.S. government, in theory, you could move that 21 trillion to the BIS and have it sit on the BIS all day long and use the BIS to move it to lots of countries who then donate to the Gates and Clinton Foundation, for example.
Oh, wow.
I'm using that as a theoretical example.
Sure.
See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But because they have sovereign immunity, we've created since World War II a whole network of organizations around the world who have sovereign immunity. They're above the law. So we have, we have parts of the UN, we have the World Bank, we have the IMF. They have all sorts of different variations of sovereign immunity. We have a whole bunch in Latin America. And we've created this metastructure using international treaties or using the sovereign immunity entities for all sorts of behavior and economic activities that are not subject to our national laws.
Essentially for running the world, because you want to run the world, you can't obey the laws. If you're the, I think you've used this analogy before. If the world is your house,
right,
and you're the owner of the house, there are certain things that you have to do that.
Right, and it allows you to move a lot of money and a lot of data and information secretly.
When we talk about these banks and the people that are running these banks, like, do we know who the individuals are?
So in my experience, the system is run through committees. Consensus. So I'll give you an example. When I was on Wall Street, a lot of the money in the United States is run around the federal budget. Okay, because it's such a big portion. Mm-hmm. In any county in America, 40 to 50% of the income comes from the federal budget. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it really drives the economy. Okay, so the appropriations vote out, sort of their plan for the next year. And so their recommended appropriations come out from the committees. And then the big questions, the big things to be debated or figured out or questions are rolled up and sent out to the Bohemian Grove. Everybody comes out to the Grove, they meet. and they chew over the big things, and then they make their decisions, and then that goes back to Washington. Everybody's on vacation, and then the staff gets everything ready to vote for the budget in September, and then the new budget goes forward in October. And if that process breaks down and you have a real food fight, then you've got a real mess. But the big decisions are made by consensus, and you use, whether it's a Bilderberg meeting or
Council of Foreign Relations.
They're a little bit different, but
Okay.
yeah, executive committee of the Council on Foreign Relations. You have these meetings where you get people from all different industries, all different occupations together so they can coordinate and collaborate. And they make these decisions very much by committee or consensus process, which is why once they agree to something, everybody hates to, you can't bucket because, we've told 20 different industries we're going to go to the right. And so you can't just go to the left and you hiccup everybody.
What can you explain to me exactly what the Bilderberg Summit is all about?
So I'm not that familiar with the Bilderbergers. I mean, I never, if you look at who I worked with,
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with some people on Wall Street or in Washington who were the Bilderbergers, but it was simply a more international version. And my guess is, if you look at, we grabbed so much booty at the end of World War II. I think that one of the initial goals of the Bilderbergers was to manage that, that sort of pot of money.
I heard that Peter Thiel and Eric Schmidt were the representatives in the United States for the Bilderberg Summit.
So more recently, that's possible because the tech, tech is so important to build the control. So, and, I hate to say it, the 21 trillion is, we sort of sucked out as much money as possible and put the government on a debt trap. But if you look at what they're doing now they're stealing all the data, and it looks to me like they're building up to steal the rest of the assets.
What's left?
There's, if you have an AI and you want to build a control grid and a social credit system, the most valuable data you need is payment data. And so taking the Social Security, the IRS, and the Treasury payment data, it's the most valuable data, or some of the most valuable data in the world.
Oh, wow.
Right. So that's worth, it's funny, Naomi Wolf and I were trying to cover this at one point, and she said, that data is worth more than $1 trillion, and it is. And it's interesting because Musk was out raising capital for XAI and had a deal with Palantir AI at the same time. And my guess, I think
Palantir has an AI?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Well, according to published reports, XAI and Palantir had made a partnership, and when Musk was sucking all this data out. And my guess is that data is, they sucked it into the AI on the just do it method.
What do you make of everything Elon is doing and Doge and buying X and?
Well, let me come around to that.
Okay.
And I'll the other thing is, and this is from a video, an interview Howard Lutnick said. He said, don't worry about so he's the Secretary of Commerce, but he was a primary dealer. And he was the guy who lived next to Epstein for many years. Okay. He lived next door. Okay.
Right.
So Lutnick says, don't worry about the $36 trillion of debt, because we have, on the U.S. balance sheet, we have 500 trillion of land and mineral resources, which is true. The federal government owns a huge amount of the land in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Right. And during Trump, in fact, he ordered up a geological survey that would allow basically to map 100% of the mineral resources in the country. So if you want to plunder the U.S. balance sheet, it's worth a fortune. It could create, new kind of Rothschild and Rockefeller fortunes if you plundered it.
This is crazy stuff.
No, it's not. It's just money.
It's just money.
No, but here's the thing. We have one problem in the United States. We have a secret governance system. And that secret governance system has decided to change how we're governed and managed. And we're having a big disagreement because they want central control, and digital technology will allow them to do that for the first time in history. And we don't want that. We want to be free. So we're having a big debate about whether or not we're going to go to a complete control grid or we're going to be free. That's the debate. And whether the breakaways can break back in and say, okay, we're dictating to you. Now that we've stolen all your money, we're going to dictate to you how you're going to live.
So who is it that specifically that wants this control grid? Is this just some evil group that is decentralized from the U.S. government, somehow has control over them, or is this sort of just like a diaspora of good and evil that is littered throughout the entire U.S. government? So think of this as a dynamic discussion back and forth between the population and the people who are responsible to manage the planet. And, if you come up through the layers of the financial system, both the bankers, the insurance, the whole thing, and then the people who make the top governance decisions, and I can only guess who they are, but I have some guesses, they are responsible for the intergenerational pools of capital, and they were responsible for risk. And they, over the last 50 years, in my experience, they have been exceptionally frustrated. They find managing the general population very frustrating and scary. Because remember, occasionally you have revolutions and people get guillotined, right? Yeah.
So they're afraid. My personal experience is they're very afraid of the general population, because they are few and we are many.
Right.
Right. And they're risk managers, and they think in very long. And what's happened is, particularly in the United States, you have a huge cycle of disrespect now between the general population and the people responsible to lead the financial system. And the more the criminals get away with really bad stuff, the more they hate the general population. And it's become a very ugly cycle of disrespect. you know, in a way that didn't exist when I was a kid. So, and that is dangerous because, well, look at the Great Poisoning. I mean, we have the U.S. government systematically poisoning and killing the population. The COVID pandemic was a mass atrocity. You've killed millions, or you've killed or disabled millions of Americans intentionally.
And why do you think specifically they did? Does this have anything to do with depopulation?
It has to do, so the budget deal in 1995 broke, and that was, it was described to me by the top pension fund, the president of the largest pension fund in the country described it to me in 1997. He said, they've given up on the country. They're moving all the money out starting in the fall. So a concerted effort was made to put the government and the retirement system on a sound financial basis. It didn't work. They decided, okay, we're just going to start pulling money out. That's when the financial coup started. And that is when decisions started to be made that systematically lowered life expectancy. And from 2000 to 2017, well, ever since then, I've been on every radio show or internet show that will have me talking about the 21 trillion missing. And that's because it's a formula. You have retirement funds. If you won't fund them, and the political wheel made it very clear in 1995, we refuse to fund them. You only have another way to balance the budget, and that's to lower life expectancy. And
so we don't have to pay them.
Well, if you look at the charts, literally from when that budget deal busted, life expectancy started to fall. So here are the other 19 industrial countries, and here's the U.S., and it starts to go down, 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 and then the pandemic, it drops off the cliff. And the divergence between...
during the pandemic, the people that were most affected were elderly or people that were, already on death's door with multiple comorbidities.
So, it's a little bit more complex than that. But yes, and the latest reports from Social Security is it's working. Social Security has improved. But here's the thing. I'm going to be a tough guy. This is a formula. So you either put the money in...
Tapering the Ponzi scheme, I've heard.
It's not a Ponzi scheme. But if you're not going to fully fund it, then you can lengthen retirement age or you can lower life expectancy. It's a formula.
Right.
And if the body politic refuses to do the financially responsible thing, then you got two choices. And you can't get there by delaying the retirement age. That won't work politically. So you just poison the you just put them on a slow kill. And that's what's happened. And you can say, oh, the bankers are bad guys. But if you saw the confirmation hearings for Kennedy's appointment, I mean, what you saw were scores of senators refusing to take responsibility for a chronic epidemic among our children, which is an extinction level event. That was not the banker sitting in the city of London. That was senators sitting in Washington refusing to take responsibility. It's one thing to say to Kennedy, we don't like your plan and the chronic epidemic, of illness among our children. Here's a better plan. But they wouldn't own it. They just want to say, no. It was, that is a society that will fail. I mean, that's that. If you've ever,
this is because a lot of those congressmen and senators were paid for by pharmaceutical companies, right?
There are many plausible explanations. None of them good.
Right.
So they could have control files. They could be bribed. They could be mind controlled. They could be not care. They could, there are many possible reasons, none of which are good. But what they're not is they're not competent to be a U.S. senator.
Right. Totally.
Right. They don't.
Wow.
And if I'm the bankers and I want to control fiscal policy, I've proven on national TV that the people who run fiscal policy are not competent to run it. Because the HHS budget is bankrupting the country. And it's not just bankrupting the country. I mean, I was an investment advisor for 10 years. And the way I learned all about this is watching the healthcare system bankrupt families. So that's my, what I'm angry about is there is no reason why our economy can't be highly prosperous and successful. But it can only be successful if the people are successful, if our children are successful, if our families are successful. That's what it takes to have a successful civilization.
But how do you push back this sort of, for lack of a better term, crony capitalism that seems to be intrinsically tied to the U.S. government? And it seems like all that matters is that. And then the people are like the middle class is being gutted. There's more billionaires being... So
here's what you do. The first thing you do is you bring transparency. So that's your business, right? You're trying to bring transparency to what's going on, right? Second thing is you describe the solutions. And the real solution is when millions of us proceed to behave, because right now, the people who are implementing all the evil doing, all the poisoning, all the control grid, the people who are implementing, you know who they are? Us. We're implementing this. I could walk into a room of health freedom activists, get all their retirement funds, pull together all the stocks and show them they're financing it. They're putting, they're supporting, we are going to work and implementing this. We are putting our money into this, and we have the power to change that overnight. If 10% of the people in the country called up their broker and said, I am not financing any of this evil doing, pull my money out of all these bad guys, I'm not going to buy them, I'm not going to support them, I'm not going to date them.
Pull our money out of the banks.
No, pull your money, shift your money to the banks that are good. You've got a tremendous number of great banks and honest bankers in this country who would love to diminish this.
What are the good banks?
So if you go to Solari, we have an article called How to Find a Good Local Bank, and we have a 4-part series on how to identify and find a great bank or a credit union.
Okay.
But it's
I think JP Morgan's not one of the good ones.
So we have a very interesting document. If you do a search on Solari for JP Morgan Chase.
Oh, really?
We had a subscriber after the financial crisis, and in my personal experience, JP Morgan was deep in the mortgage fraud at FHA and the government. So she continued to bank at JP Morgan Chase, and I don't know if you know how the Madoff fraud worked.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Okay, so Madoff after the mid 90s he had 2 businesses. He had a brokerage business, and he had the money management, the Ponzi scheme. And the Ponzi scheme only had one bank account at JP Morgan Chase. So I was interviewing Helen Chapman, who's one of the attorneys who litigated the Madoff. She'd been a Madoff victim, but represented other Madoff victims. And I said to her, I said, Helen, who was the securities custodian? If JP Morgan Chase was the bank account, who was the securities custodian? And she said, there was none because he never bought any securities. And I said, but Helen, that means JP Morgan Chase controlled the whole time. In other words, under the laws, they knew that Madoff was not buying any securities because there was no securities custodian, and the money, in fact, they would run with huge balances at JP Morgan Chase, according to her interview.
Wow.
Right. They were they were the senior partner.
That's insane.
They were the senior partner. So it's an amazing interview. Anyway, so I had this person put together a list of every criminal and civil money penalty that JP Morgan Chase had paid from 2006 to, I think it's 2018. It's up at Solari. And then we had our editors go through it very, very carefully. And we found $42 billion of civil and criminal money penalties for financial, activities that I would describe as, they clearly knew they were defrauding people and harming people. And, so my question is, why is anybody, if an institution would do that, now, I can make arguments where it makes sense for somebody to have their money at JP Morgan Chase for things we don't need to go into. There's all sorts of esoteric reasons. But I would say that a majority of people who are free to move their money out of JP Morgan Chase, why don't they? Why wouldn't you act in your
so convenient. The app, have you ever used the app? It's great. You got Zelle. You can send money with Zelle to anyone super easily.
So having been...
I don't think people have time to think about this stuff, like normal everyday working people.
So you're saying that you would do business with the Russian mob because it's convenient?
I mean, if I knew I was doing business with the Russian mob, no, I wouldn't do that.
Right. So what I'm telling you is, if you will do business with people who steal and defraud, then it's...
I would choose not to if I knew about it.
Crime that pays is crime that stays. Okay. So, I mean, if you look at the financial crisis, we shoveled $27 trillion of taxpayers' money into institutions, so that was a huge theft. That was a huge taking. Why would you ever bank with any of those institutions if you could avoid it?
Right.
And there are times some people can't avoid it, so I'm not. But I mean, I'll never forget being in Washington, and there's some big protest, and one of the guys said to me is, look, as long as they have Citibank credit cards in the back of their pocket, I don't care if they walk up and down. Why? Because that's
traceable, right? They're tracking.
Well, as long as you're giving me all your data and you're giving me all your money, and I control your money and your data.
Control the money and the data, yeah.
What do I care if you walk up and down?
But so Trump has been super, this current administration, this new administration, or at least when Trump was running, he was very pro Bitcoin.
Trump was put in by the bankers to get the control grid. The other team in the Uniparty wasn't moving fast enough. They couldn't get the control grid.
I knew it.
I sent you a link. We just did a new collection of all the things Trump is doing to move the control grid. He is moving very, very fast. When it comes to building... First, he's getting the Real ID implemented very aggressively. Real ID, to do a control grid, you need a very high quality precision national ID that's interoperable with all the other IDs around the world. And he's got Kristi Noem out there pushing the Real ID like there's no tomorrow. So they're working, and it's done through the states, but the feds are pushing it. So the first thing you need is a digital ID. The second thing you need is an all-digital financial system. So you got to kill cash, and you got to make everybody interact digitally. And if you look at what he's doing with taxes and Social Security, he's trying to make everybody, he's canceled pennies, but he's also canceled now, normally I pay my taxes with paper, and now he's saying, no, you got to do everything digital. It's not this year, but the next year.
Really?
So he's trying to, if you go through that list, I've got 50 different items of what he's doing. And if you look at what they're doing with the Genius Act and stablecoin, he said no CBDCs, but stablecoin, so I don't know if you've read the Genius Act, which is the new plan for stablecoins. Okay. A CBDC would be issued by the Federal Reserve, so presumably the New York Fed and the Fed member banks, okay? Now, they are owned by their members. So Citibank, JP Morgan Chase, they own as members. They own the New York Fed and, you know, basically govern it. Okay. And the New York Fed is the depository for the Treasury, and the different banks work as agent to do those transactions. Okay. So now under the Genius Act, what they're saying is the guys who own the New York Fed are all going to create subsidiaries and issue stablecoin, which will be interoperable and can work with a social credit system. Now, here's the beauty of it. You know, the New York Fed, under the law, has direct obligations to Congress, and Congress has jurisdiction over them. If you do it through the owners of the Fed, through their private subsidiaries, you're going to have some degree of freedom. So it gives you more freedom.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So if you think this is improvement, you have another thing coming. Anyway, but what they're planning to do on stablecoin, which I have to say as a financial matter is quite clever. Remember the pallets of cash you sent to Iraq?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is going to be the digital equivalent of the pallets of cash sent to Iraq, because what they want to do with stablecoins. So a stablecoin is just a bank deposit or a treasury bill or bond. So it's fully collateralized by $1. You put $1 in, and these stablecoins are going to, I mean, you have some stablecoins that do gold or other things, but these are going to be dollar. And this is going to create a huge market for the treasury bills and bonds. And the bank subsidiaries will create the stablecoins, so it'll be fully collateralized in treasury bonds or bills. But then you can send them out on Google Payment and Apple Payment and all the wallets around the world. And literally, you can get people from Bolivia to South Korea coming into your state and using stablecoins. So you're literally going to tender for the global population, try and get everybody off of their local currency into stablecoins, and you're going to pump out massive amounts of private credit to make it really attractive. So you're just going to hand out money and get everybody on the dollar.
And you don't think the BRICS would try to compete with this?
Of course.
They would, right?
Yeah, of course.
And do you think this is something that could legitimately be implemented? And if so, how soon do you think they would start doing this?
I think as soon as you pass the Genius Act, it can go very, very fast.
And where are we at right now with the Genius Act and it getting passed?
I'm assuming it's going to pass sometime soon. If it doesn't pass before the session breaks, it'll pass in the fall. It's my guess.
Let's look into it. Let me try on Grok. This is too much words. Okay, it's not too bad. Oh, Randy's here. What's up, Randy?
How are you?
You sound super pumped.
I'm super pumped.
Yas, queen. All right, so we're learning about the Genius Act, officially titled the Generating Exceptional National Incentives. Oh, he just left. For Unifying Systems Act, is a legislative proposal introduced to the U.S. House of Representatives on July 24th, 2024 by Representative Whatever's primary aim to establish a pilot program under the Development of Homeland Security to enhance border security through advanced technology. Specifically, it seeks to create an integrated border intelligence and actionable operations pilot program focusing on real-time analytics, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to improve border operations. The program would integrate data from various sources such as sensors, cameras to provide actionable insights for customs, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. How does this apply to that? So I guess if this works on the border, they're going to move it to everywhere else. There's a reference, the Global Earthquake Model GEM Nexus for improving the uptake of Science Act. What the heck? I feel like is this what they're talking about? Making some sort of, I don't know, tracking thing around the border, and then I guess they would do that. Well,
Kat, earlier you were talking about moving to an island away from everything.
Yeah, bro.
I have an idea for you.
Okay, go.
I hear North Sentinel Island is a really good place to move to get away from everything.
What the heck is that?
North Sentinel Island? It's like
I don't know.
It'd be great for your health, honestly.
I don't want to even look into that, Randy. I feel like you're making some sort of weird joke. Is that like an elderly community?
No. It's just a really great place that you'd be safe and healthy. You've never heard of it?
No. North Sentinel Island. Oh my god. We're like that tribe that like kills anybody who goes near
Yeah,
them.
they literally will kill anybody that comes to the island.
Dude, are they wrong? These people are the smartest people on planet Earth, period.
I
Look,
mean,
right
honestly, a better, more realistic answer would honestly, New Zealand would probably be one of the best places to go. Their air, water, and soil quality are like the best in the world. Because if you ever look at a globe, New Zealand is out in the middle of fucking nowhere. It is like it's just ocean for thousands and thousands of miles. Like they're far as shit from everything.
Well, I don't know. There was another island that was like on the other side of the earth, like
New
I forgot what
Zealand?
no, it's like a tiny one, so it's not very
I mean, there's
known.
there's shitloads of those all throughout the
I
ocean.
know. But like this one is like literally there's nothing else around it. It's on the other side of like the middle of nothing. But anyways, I think you can only go there if you're like specific people.
Good
Thank
luck,
you.
Ethan. Good luck going to the South Pole. For some reason, we're not allowed down there.
What? All right, I want to see what this place looks like. This is the one that Peter Thiel, whatever, and those peeps allegedly Prospera in Honduras. Let's see what they are talking about in their new world.
So my world revolves around menstrual blood, and that's because it's the most abundant source of stem cells that we have to date. And we've been able to demonstrate that we can 3D print, bio 3D print organs using these stem cells.
This is some of the coolest and most powerful information I ever heard, that the menstrual blood is like the power that can create organs and help other people.
Well, if you think about it, it's like the human starter pack that didn't get used. So my world revolves around...
Okay, so they're using period blood on this new world that they're trying to
Wait, so you're telling me that it's good for my health to eat a girl's pussy when she's on her period?
Okay, so, Randy,
and all those stem cells in my body?
Randy, we're trying to be classy today.
You heard it here first, boys. Eat your girl when she's on her period, and you'll have tons of stem cells for your body to heal how it needs to from all this bad shit. Oh my gosh.
All right, let's see what else.
It's like, it's dirty.
Okay.
¿Qué está sucediendo?
I need some English one.
Damon's not here. I gotta do some heavy lifting.
Próspera. 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 Próspera.
Próspera.
Próspera.
Próspera.
Right.
¿Y si el futuro no se estuviera construyendo en Silicon Valley, sino aquí?
Todos hablan de futuro. El emprendedor tiene un rol muy...
It just looks like a... This looks like a hippie commune. Basically. Just a bunch of weirdo hippie people. Let me see.
That everyone seemed to have, which in turn inspired us to surprise our local friend Sahi with the money to start his own business, as he had told us that it would take $1,500 to start his
Beta District.
Company. I mean, you know, the funniest thing is you don't know what our channel is. You don't know. No, not at all. Yeah, not at all.
Okay, let me see what. I mean, it looks pretty.
Is this the village where Berto's from?
No. Look, it's this. Guys, you don't understand.
It's like anywhere tropical, though.
Yeah, but if we don't end up in one of these places or an underground bunker, we're gone. You don't understand. Like, we have to choose right now. We have to start.
I mean, I'll say this, like, honestly, like, dude, there's definitely something in the air. It's like hazy as fuck all day, every day. Like, even on clear days. Like if you have like long sight lines for like even just even just a couple thousand feet, let alone like miles of sight lines to the horizon, it's like hazy as fuck. And I don't remember it ever being like that. Like obviously, you know, there's always visibility in terms of how far you can see in the horizon, but yeah, it's been hazy as fuck. There's something in the air.
No, I 100% think there's something in the air. I think they're trying on multiple fronts. It's in the food, it's in the water, it's in the air, it's in the soil is contaminated, the fertilizers are contaminated. They're putting pesticides on everything. They're soaking it because they need to get rid of so many people before this whole Ponzi scheme collapses. They're doing everything all at once. And yeah, you know, like that's it. Like that's what
I'm
it
pretty
is.
sure
America's gone. We're gone.
I'm pretty sure they're now also able to like they can sell you meat that the animals have received mRNA vaccines and they don't have to disclose that. So
Yeah,
we all
yeah.
know how
There's
mRNA
yeah,
can
yeah, yeah.
alter your own body's DNA. So yeah, they don't have to
Sure, there's
disclose that shit's
look,
in the
we've
meat.
Randy, we've already been whatever they wanted to get into us, they put it into us anyways. There's not much we can do.
I'm
But
just gonna start eating charcoal briquettes because I hear that charcoal is really good for absorbing toxins, you know?
I mean, I don't the amount now whenever like he runs tests on heavy metals and stuff like that, everybody's coming out with a whole bunch of like sky high heavy metals. So everything is contaminated. Like they said, even a potato has now more heavy metals that like it could give you like all these like arsenics and all this stuff. And like let's look up what does arsenic poisoning feel like? 'Cause I don't even know, but like why is that high in everything? Okay. Yes, potassium and magnesium are good. Why won't it tell me? I guess I'm not allowed to post this question.
Am I too quiet or loud?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Let me get off of Grok. Just see what else. All right.
Morty, chill out.
Okay, symptoms of arsenic poisoning: red or swollen skin, warts or lesions, abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abnormal heart rhythm, muscle cramps, tingling of fingers and toes, long-term darkening skin, constant sore throat, persistent digestive issues. The most common causes are contaminated air from plants that use arsenic, okay, living near industrial areas, being exposed to landfill waste sites, breathing in smoke or dust from wood or waste that was previously treated with arsenic, contaminated food. Oh, I love how they add this is not common in the United States, but some seafood and animal products may contain levels. No, it's
I
pretty
mean, one thing that
common.
they're definitely spraying is aluminum.
Oh,
Because
for sure.
the aluminum levels in the soil is like sky fucking high.
Yeah,
And
aluminum, arsenic, and what is it?
aluminum's really bad for your brain. Like it's a really bad neurotoxin. It causes dementia. And it's
Everybody's
also
got
bad for
dementia.
your bones and respiratory systems.
Yes. And what's the other one? Lead. They just said that everybody who got a faucet in the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years, something like that they weren't testing for lead. So people were just writing lead free on the faucets, and then they were like 100% lead inside. So now they're saying, well, if you got one, you already got one. You can either replace it with a new one that's like from a store, not like from Amazon that can be fake or whatever, or one of those, or eBay. You
Oh,
want to
let me
avoid
put you on game here. Dude, get yourself a Speakman
what the heck?
shower head. It's like SPEAKMAN. Fucking dude, those things, I think it's MAN. Maybe it's
Yeah, yeah.
EN. I don't know if it's man or men. It's something like that, but they're like 100% die cast zinc. And like it has some heft to it. You can tell like this is quality. And I'm just saying like it's the greatest shower head ever. I have that one in I think wait, in the picture that says bathroom, I have either that one or the one that has like yeah, I have actually the one that says that's in that picture, the shower heads. It's like I think 8 of those little dots total. Dude, those things are so fire because like the knob just adjusts like the plungers or whatever for like it kind of just adjusts whether it's like hard streams or softer. I mean the pressure is amazing. Just a great shower head. I've had mine for like 4 years now or something. Highly suggest picking up one of those though.
How much are these? We're gonna be
They're
set back.
I think like 200 or something. I want to say I paid for mine. That's the thing. I didn't get the fancy wand thing or whatever because I'm not a bitch. I don't have a clit, so that
Jesus.
I would never use the wand. I just like having the traditional shower head.
No sellers found. Whenever I see like request quote, I'm just like, this is $1 billion. A bajillion. I need this one.
I think I ordered mine on Amazon if I remember correctly.
Oh, though, so it's fake. Stop.
No, it's what?
Stop. All the Delta faucets on Amazon were found to be fake, and everything they tested was
This ain't
fake.
fucking Delta. This shit's been around. Like, this is quality. Trust.
All right, listen. This is just terrible. Anyways.
You're terrible.
Thanks, homie. It doesn't matter. Look, we've all got heavy metals. We're all
Ooh, and you're talking about the robot, the nanobots in your bodies and shit. You should have talked about Bill Gates and his patent that he got in like 2019 or 2020.
Which one?
His 666 patent.
Oh, I already know about that. I've had it.
Yeah, but do your viewers?
Okay, but look, I have had this opened in my phone since 2020. That patent. And every couple
2020 0606 06 A1. I'm pretty sure.
So I would just look at it. Every time I would look at it, they would change it a little bit. So it would just like kind of refresh and like they would change stuff on it so that you couldn't really find out like, and they would change the number. They changed everything about it because people were like onto it.
The number's always been the same.
Well, not the number, like who got it. They changed it a little bit. It's just they changed little things here and there. And
for anyone
I was
that
just
doesn't
like
know, it's a patent for a brain implant.
Yeah. So they have been wanting to do this for a while. That's what everything is about. So the monetary system's about to collapse and they're going to switch over from what we have now to a brand new techno-feudalist, completely like biometrics monitored society. And it's going to be super, it's going to be for regular people like us, it's going to suck. Let's just be honest.
I mean, let's be honest. Whole Foods is probably a total scam.
Oh,
that's probably the worst place to buy all your organic stuff and shit because they're literally owned by Amazon.
Yes, I completely stopped going there.
All of their fresh produce, I'm pretty sure, uses it uses Appeal.
Oh no, everywhere uses Appeal, and Appeal.
Not everywhere, I don't think.
Well, Appeal was,
but Appeal's from Bill Gates.
Yeah, Appeal was approved, and they said it does not need to be labeled, and it's approved for organic fruits and vegetables as well. So we'll never be able to wash it off our fruits and vegetables. So yeah, it's like I did a thing on
there
food.
Are places that you can get it without. Like you can definitely
get
stuff
Of course, there's places, but you have to be.
I'm pretty sure Costco is one.
I don't think so. Does Costco use Appeal? It does not currently, although they just partnered with Appeal.
Oh, fantastic. They went back and that's great. Yeah, that's fine. I don't buy produce at Costco.
Okay, let's see. So that was in 2018. They partnered with them. They said they stopped, but we don't know. Let's see. Let's read them. Natural grocers do not carry Appeal as of, what's the date? I don't know the date on this, so we'll have to find out. Sprouts.
Natural grocers?
Yeah, it's a grocery store.
Hopefully
Sprouts
Heinen's.
Farmers Market decided not to carry appeal, but has not made a statement, so we don't know. Publix said they will not purchase anything treated with appeal, but we don't know. Whole Foods will not provide an answer. So, but you know that they do. That's like,
Yeah, of
for
course.
sure. Trader Joe's says that they won't source any more, but they have not issued even a public statement. That's just when you call them, which I don't think you can go with that. Let's see. Fresh Time says they're not going to do it. Einhorn said they're not going to do
Good.
it.
I
Aldi.
think I have a Fresh Time near me.
Yeah. Kroger claims their
Did
items
you
are
say
not treated.
Aldi's?
Yeah, Aldi said they will not be using, but I feel like they've already gone back on this. It was just like when it first came out, everybody knew about it. So everybody's posting online, don't go here, don't go there. And then when people were calling, they're like, we're not going to do it. But then after like a year or so, people kind of forgot about it. They moved on to the next thing. And then they start like putting it into stuff. Like that's just how it happens. Trust me, they're gonna do it. They have a very clear goal. And the other thing that I think I realized what they were doing is, you know how they allow, like, when you buy something from China, whether it's like supplements, food, like your shower head that could be completely made out of lead, whatever it is, when you find out there's something wrong with the product and you're like, this product poisoned me, this product killed me, this product exposed me to lead, this and this and this, give me the information for the seller so that I can attack them. Amazon protects the seller. They say, no, you came here, so it's at your own risk to shop here. And like, that's it. You can't do anything. And also I keep saying Whole Foods, Amazon specifically, there's a bin for each product, right? So if someone sells, let's say Delta faucets, if they have people who are, resellers, and they get approved to resell the product. So they go through the product with the effort with Delta, they get approved as a reseller, they can sell it on Amazon. But then what they do is they replace the real products with selling the fake China lead filled garbage stuff. But they don't test the stuff. And since they put it in one bin with the Delta faucets coming from Delta Corporation and from all the resellers are all in one bin, and then they are randomly chosen. That's why sometimes you get a product and it's clearly fake. And then the next time you order the same product, it's the real thing over and over again because they're both thrown in one bin. So they can't even track where it came from. And that is by design. So then you're never able to go after the individual seller and company. And I feel like this is all done on purpose because now they can say, well, it's China's fault. You know how they're always blaming China for everything. Oh, all this garbage is in China, food, whatever. They can literally be telling that government, put this garbage in our people's stuff and we're not going to regulate it and we're not going to like find out or punish you or regulate anything because we're trying to lower the population. That could be happening and we would never know because it's almost like too perfect of a system. What do you think, Randy?
What?
Oh, I don't know why.
I was in and out there. That was a lot of. Sorry, that wasn't within my hearing range frequency. It was just.
Good God.
Sorry,
anyways,
my bad.
So I just think like at this point, we are kind of screwed. And anyone who just kind of like throws their hands up and go, I don't care. I don't want to pay attention to this stuff. I'm not going to like, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to eat whatever I want, bro. They're like already gone. Like once you develop that, I'm just going to do whatever I want attitude, they win because you're going to be gone. Because if you don't fight to live by like researching every little thing you put on and in your body. That's it. Women have nothing to do with this, guys. Yeah. It's over for people who are like NPCs or people who are just like, I just want to dance. I just want to have fun. I don't care about that. Oh,
So
what's an
99%
economy?
of TikTok users.
Yes. So if you are not keeping up with
Kat,
this
aren't you a
stuff,
TikTok user?
you said 99. I am the 1% of TikTok
That's
users.
a good one. That's funny. It's actually the funniest thing you've ever said on this podcast.
Shut your face, hooker. Anyways, so yeah, I don't want to like depress people, but like this is what's at stake. If you're not on top of everything, you will be the 90% cold of the herd of the human race because
You know what's on
they
top
don't
of
need
it?
us.
You know who's on top of everything? Yo
Who?
mama.
What are you going to do?
Hey, I'm trying to lighten the mood, bring some entertainment, you know.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, we're going to be talking next week. I think I'm going to start talking about peptides because we have to strengthen our bodies. And if we do not strengthen our bodies, we're going to be toast to all of these poisons and stuff that they are putting all over us and in us. So yeah.
Well, that's why I eat lead and arsenic. Is to basically get my body's immunity up, you know, kind of get my tolerance up.
I mean, it is what it is. And yes, we do know. We will be okay. And if you're allergic to everything, that means you have probably histamine issues and you need to look into a low histamine diet. Avoiding histamines, that means never, ever, ever have a leftover as long as you live.
Sounds like it's just poor genes.
It's not. It's like literally histamine
Do whatever's
problems.
bad for your health. We need you out of the gene pool before you reproduce.
No. So many people have them now because of all the stuff in the environment. And actually, it's a good sign if you have it. That means your body hasn't given up. If you eat poison and you don't feel bad, that means your body's like, we're already so tore up. We're not going to also give you like warning signs anymore. Like we've given up. You've ignored all the warning signs. So we're just going to like save our energy in trying to keep the little bits of you that are running and not give you warning signs anymore. So if you're getting warning signs, that's not a bad thing. Trees and grass are not the bad things to be. You don't even have to eat trees and grass. I mean, you're not going to be able to make it outside. So you're going to probably have to be one of those that digs a tunnel. So you're going to be looking for a bunker, breakaway civilization. Okay. Bunker, breakaway civilization, because there's no trees and grass underground. Okay. So that's what you're going to do. Natural selection doesn't work because we're all poisoned, which is not natural. That's not going to happen because they don't want to do that to themselves. That's why they want us all to be wearing like stuff so they can track us. They can find out where we are. They can send those little drones like directly to specific people that they don't like and explode them. I don't think the asteroid's coming. And if it does come, then we don't need to worry about it. So we'll be fine. But I like to live like it's not coming. We can make bunkers. Bunkers are not hard to make. Randy, do you remember the 60s when you were a little kid? Everybody was talking about bunkers and they were making them in their backyards.
I mean, y'all can have fun doing all that fucking stupid ass work and wasting your time. I live right next to one of the largest freshwater lakes in the world, and underneath it is a massive salt mine that you could literally drive trucks through and shit. Like you guys were saying earlier. I'm just gonna go there and live underneath Lake Erie in the mines. So I don't know what y'all are gonna do in other places of the country, but yeah, I'm just gonna live under the lake.
Well, I mean, look, we all have to decide if we're going to be techno feudalist, what's it called? Serfs, techno feudal serfs, or if we're going to be bunker slaves, because those are the two, or we're probably going to be in the techno whatever city slums that they're going to have, like the ghetto techno city slums.
Well, obviously I'm going to be a stripper. I already
Yeah,
am.
and then yes, and anyone who lives there, they're either going to be doing crime or they're going to be stripping or in some sort of like that type of stuff. Like these are our options.
Catch
So
my spicy side on onlyfans.com/redvelvet. Shameless plug.
Yes. EAE? What is that? I don't
It's
remember.
the one dude that says he's allergic to everything.
Oh,
Holy
yes.
shit. Can you keep up, you fucking retard?
I thought he was like saying to go to a country. Like the UAE. Where are we going? All right. So, oh, look, this guy lives right next to you, Randy. You guys can like dig your bunkers together.
We don't need to dig anything. It's already been dug. Gosh.
Oh my gosh, Randy. Well, then
fuck.
you're gonna need some sort of like I don't know, armor and ammo and stuff so that they let you go into their dug tunnels. I mean, some of us will have to go to our own little caves and hope for the best.
I mean, worst comes to worst, I know some caves around here.
Look. Is there anything in the Bible about techno-feudalistic societies?
Not that specifically.
I feel like we need somebody who knows about this stuff and to tie the Bible into techno-feudalism and how this happens. Because this is like where I see we're all going to be going soon. Anyways, let me see. What? They're going to talk about the breakaway Nazi civilization. Yes, let's hear that. I want to hear this now.
Well, that's probably the, resistance group. Just
We'll
burn
see.
all the Jews and it gets
I do not know. I do not know.
So it could, you could really see the world rock. Now, our problem in America
is Trump aware of all this stuff, or what do you think? What do you think what is his motive in all of this, or not his motive, but is he basically a useful idiot here?
So I don't know Trump.
Yeah.
I lived in New York for 11 years, and the PR firm we use did his business too. Everything I know about Trump, I know from Howard Rubenstein and company.
Wow.
Anyway, but I think Trump is in a box, and all I see, I have to judge people by what they're doing, and what it looks to me like Trump and Musk are implementing the control grid at high speed. And don't believe me, go look at that list, because what you have to say is, okay, to do a control grid, we need a digital ID implemented that's very high quality, high precise. Check the box. We need an all digital financial system. Check the box. We need a way of doing interoperable money. Check the box. If you look at what Doge is doing, we need a social credit system. Check the box.
Wait, what do you mean by that? What Doge is doing?
Doge is, from what it looks like to me, and I'm basing my assessment of what I know from Doge includes, I read the Financial Times, I need to read the Wall Street Journal, and I need to read Wired. Wired has done a very thorough job of trying to document what's happening in the systems. And I think basically what they've done is they've taken, so if I wanted to stop fraud in the U.S. government, I would say there's 20 trillion missing from DOD, there's $1 trillion missing from HUD. I'm going to go in, figure out where it went, and get it back.
Right.
That's not what they did. If you said to me, I want to build a social credit system that can be used to enforce control against the American people and basically lock them down with both enforcement and social credit, I would go get the Social Security data, the IRS data, and the Treasury payment data. And that's exactly what they did. And I would privatize it. I would just take it and put it in private AI with XAI and Palantir AI. And if Palantir still has the contracts with Treasury and the IRS to enforce, you got everybody. And you had the Kennedy's aggregating the healthcare data. You put it with the healthcare data. Now Danny, they've been aggregating this kind of data. I used to call it the data beast. So they've been aggregating this kind of powerful data since the 90s. So I don't think this is all new. So for example,
IRS data, healthcare data. and combining it all together into one system combined with AI.
Right. But I think this time the federal government has generally done a pretty good job of siloing the data to protect privacy laws for many applications. But I think this unsilos everything and moves it private and puts it on an out-of-control basis is my guess as to what's probably happened. Now, this is conjecture, remember, but if I wanted to build a control grid, that's exactly what I would do.
Wow. Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
I got to use the restroom. We'll be right back.
Questions. If you don't have the intelligence you need to know for sure what's going on, you can still define questions and use those questions to learn more and more and more and get to the point where you know more. So, and we have a section called unanswered questions and then one called inspiration. And we spend we just finished a 10-hour recording.
Really?
The number one story was 3 hours. It was the Trump the first 70 days.
So my understanding, for people who don't know who he is, my shallow understanding of Joseph, his background is he's published 10 books on how there is this breakaway civilization of Nazi origin.
So Joseph, the thing you have to understand about Joseph is a great scholar. He is a scholar. He has his PhD from Oxford. He studied patristics and ancient Christian theology, and he intended to have a very serious academic career. And he proceeded into academia after having his doctorate. He grew up in South Dakota and walked smack into the fact that the American academic institutions were all not interested in serious scholarship and were headed the wrong way. And he literally ended up at one point working in a casino as a dealer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, trying to support himself. So then he just started writing books about, sort of what's going on. And he focused on, so again, we've been talking about the breakaway civilization. Who's really wanting things and why are they doing what? And he'll go way back in history. He'll go back 1,000, 2,000 years. The Venetians, how have the Venetians and the Venetian model rolled into the central banking model, or how did the Nazis roll into the breakaway civilization? He does a lot on the secret space program, and he's absolutely brilliant. And what happened to me was I was an investment advisor, and Joseph was the only, when I tried to explain to the people who were doing shows related to the stock market and the financial system, they couldn't incorporate the black budget. And the covert side of the economy was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you couldn't explain what was happening in the financial system by using the official reality. And so what I discovered is, even though Joseph's expertise is patristics and theology and, ancient history and all these other things, he was better on the financial system than the financial guys because he could integrate all the information related to the secret governance system and science. He's very good on science. And so he and I worked more and more closely together. And he's had a very profound impact on me because one of the things he taught me was we can't save the government necessarily, but we can save the culture. And when he said that, I had no idea, Danny, what that meant. It's like, I'm an investment banker. How do you save a culture? I don't know what to do. And he really got me to understand the power of each one of us. I knew about this financially, but each one of us in our personal lives, building the culture that we want to live in. And doing it with all of our time and money. And anyway, so we've collaborated both on the cultural issues as well as the geopolitics and news. And I don't know any person. So he was also worried, as I was, about the plunder we're seeing in the government. And we've always known, as these guys plundered all around the world, that they've said they were going to come back and plunder North America. So he just published a book on Reconstruction after the Civil War because he wanted to warn people, this is what plunder looks like. Okay. So anyway, but he's absolutely brilliant. And if you look at the content that you've covered on your podcast, there's no topic that you've talked about that he's not, has something, he has something fascinating to say about anything. The other thing I did with Joseph that was just a blast, and remember, we're constantly in cahoots, is Larry crowdfunded a digital organ for him.
A digital organ?
I was at his house one day and I said, Joseph, you're not yourself. And he said, I just dealing with the content we deal with, it's depressing. And I said, well, what do you do for fun? He said, I love to play the organ. He plays the organ. And I said, well, why don't you go play the organ? And he said, I can't because all the churches, the insurance companies won't let other people use it now. So the churches won't let me play their organs. And I said, well, how much does it cost to buy an organ? And he said, well, you can get a digital organ. And I said, okay, well, we're going to do a crowdfund for a digital organ. And it was during the campaign in 2016. And literally there were about 200 people in the Solari network who crowdfunded a digital organ for Joseph. And it was like a whole process. We went through 3 phases. We had luncheons and meetings, and it became like a little cult. You know what I mean? It's like, you guys have an election. We're going to crowdfund and learn all about organ music. That's and it was, so now I listen to a lot of organ music, and I travel around Europe going to great organ concerts. So I'm really into it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it is great. It's really, if you've ever been in a beautiful cathedral with organ music, it's like an electromagnetic healing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's really amazing.
I've never experienced it, but I can imagine.
Oh, you have to take your whole family, go to Chartres, go to Mont Saint Michel when there's a great organ concert.
Isn't he a like an Orthodox priest or something?
He's Russian. So You know, and I think that is one of the reasons I think they're going to fail, because they don't, you know, I have seen in different sections or spots a culture or a theology or a philosophy, but I've never seen in the overarching. And now what you've seen is you've seen groups, you know, you see some groups who are just, you know, it's just mafia, it's just crime. So, you know, I would say culturally, the reason the unipolar model failed was the culture failed.
For the United States.
For the United States. But if you look at what the groups who seem to have power positions globally, I think their culture will fail.
I don't think any of the world superpowers have any sort of cohesive ideology, do they? I don't think China does. China?
I think China does, but it's weakened tremendously. And
maybe Russia is more so.
Russia probably has the best shot of anybody. And it's funny, the Russians tried to recruit me in 2005.
Oh, yeah?
And they had a whole speech about how they were building a great culture. And if you look at everything they said, or the fellow who was trying to recruit me said, and what they're doing, you know, they seem to be, it seems, what he said seems to match what they're doing.
Why did they try to recruit you?
Well, I have a theory. I can, you know, I know what happens, but I don't, you know, you never know what.
Totally.
Okay. So I got I won't bore you. I was at a conference and outside of the country, and I got a very impressive guy who apparently was advising Putin, and he did a great job of trying to recruit me. And I just kept saying to him, nobody likes a traitor. You know, that's, you have to, you know, you have to dance with the guy you came to the party with. And he said, they'll never trust you. They'll never let you back. I said, I know, but I don't care. You know, I'm an American. So you can't change that.
And this is when you were working for who?
This is 2005, before I'd settled the litigation. And I went home. I was working in Montana on a food project. So I'm in a ranch in Montana. I got home and I said,
okay, so this is her website. Let's see. Okay, Solaris report. So that means the solar report. So, like, is this sun god worship? Like, what's going on with this? Let's see. What the heck?
I make the soil in my yard better by just taking shits in it.
With your diet, I don't think you're helping. Let's see.
Definitely helping. I have the most luscious green grass you've ever seen.
The big in this episode, long term. I don't understand. Rebuilding our soil, even under conditions of extreme toxicity. You see, guys, there's hope. Yes, we're all gonna poop, but the animal has to be eating a good, organic, natural diet. Yes, they do. Let's see, what is this? Okay. The war for bankruptcy. Food. What does food say? Okay, how to open a successful farm business. Okay. Organic, certifier, whatever. Campaign for real milk. Okay. Food freedom is freedom. I mean, this sounds good, I guess. I don't know. Do you see any red flags, Randy? Do you think this is like controlled opposition?
I don't know. It feels like this lady's a paganist.
What the heck? They have a daily prayer? What's the scripture from? What the heck? What religion is this? Let's see.
I'm just wondering what she's trying to sell us.
I opened the prayer book, but it's like
She's got to be trying to sell something.
Let's see what else we got over here. Can you buy anything? Solaris reports. So isn't this, I don't know, what the heck does she even do? Antibiotics. Building turtling for cash. What the heck does that mean? Oh, invisible weaponry. I was listening to this other guy
It seems
talking
like
about,
she kind of does the same thing as you, Kat.
which is she's way smarter and she's old. She's done stuff. Ozone for dental healing. Ah, yes. The great poisoning is bankrupting America. That's nice. Protecting your assets. Ah, yes. Parasitic biofilms. Yeah, I talk about this. Parasitic biofilms are everywhere. Technologies for mind control. Yeah, see, she seems kind of cool, actually. But what is her weekly report? What the heck is this? Does she have anything to sell? Or do you have to pay to watch these? Oh,
A
maybe
short
that's what she
preview.
sells.
Yeah, she might sell these videos.
Load. Come on. I have to see if this is like a full video or like a thingy. Related reports. Okay, log in. This is it. So she does what we do, but she just does it behind a paywall.
Click there.
Okay.
It says click here to join. Click there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yup.
Oh, so
Let's
this
see if
is
we
like
can
a
get-
like a news article.
Let's see
thing.
if we can see pricing.
$275 a year, digital only.
Damn. That's an
Monthly,
expensive fucking newspaper.
$30 a month for monthly. Yes, I've made a whole $0. Actually, I have spent so much money streaming. It's like I am not a good
Steven
business.
knows that this isn't a business investment. He knows that this is just, you know, your hobby.
Yeah, he's like, this
He's
keeps
fine
the
with
little
that.
lady.
He's fine with that though, because he knows there's much more expensive hobbies you could have.
Exactly. So, okay, what the heck is this? Let's see her little prayer guide. What the heck? The golden rule. What kind of religion is this, guys? See if you could figure it out for our Christmas card, blah, blah, blah. What is this?
I bet that she doesn't really want to. I'm sure, like, you could find out what religion she is if she has a religion. I bet she doesn't really put it out there that much, and it makes it hard to find just because she probably doesn't want that to push certain people away.
I mean, it seems to be based on the Bible, but so is Santeria. You know what I mean? Yeah, it
Yeah,
could be. It could be
most
Gnostic.
religions are.
I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball, but I had $1 million, but I spent it all.
Oh my God! Stop.
Interesting. The prayers of a righteous man. Interest the Lord. Judges. I mean, it doesn't seem too far off, but what do I know? She could be. Oh, here we go. I knew it. I was wrong. One of these people, the golden rule. So we're going to make a coexist religion that encompasses all religions. That's this stuff.
Which sounds controlled opposition. Sounds very New World Order like.
Oh yeah, they wanted to make a new religion. Ah, crap. These people are all in the same fucking cult. Damn it.
Can't have that one world government and New World Order if you have all these separate religions.
Yeah. Damn. So they like talking about Christ. I see. But the oneness of the creator of creation. What the heck? This is weird. The deer's cry. St. Patrick. As the druids lay in hiding, ready to kill.
Kat, I think Spaceman's chat was about your singing.
My what?
About your singing.
Oh. Well, look, we knew that the world had to end eventually. You know how many, look, let's all listen to like some good news. Let's have some good thoughts. Genetic engineering and advanced energy sources, the secret economy, Mr. Global. What the heck is that? AI, mortality, and religion. Okay. So look, we're at the end of the world. Everybody throughout history thought that they were at the end of the world. And guess what? They were wrong. And we are correct.
Do you want to be correct?
No, we do not.
Good evening, fatty.
Oh, God.
Play my theme song. Hold on. Every time I come on every show, every panel, I have a theme song that must be played now. Understand? No. Hold on. No. I'm not Aaron. But no. Cat. Yeah, I'm not you. I'm not Persian like you.
Troll with a face like a skid. Imperious, not Simpionet's weakest kid. Dropping N-bombs, think you're slick with the slurs. Your friends stay quiet, but they're done with your words. Lost a finger, work, man, you're dumber than dirt. Too busy preaching about bullshit to avoid getting hurt. Livestream just to acting holy, then you snap, swinging at cat. Cause your life's a big trap. You want a hot white chick, bro, you're scaring them off. Your vibe's so rancid, even roaches would scoff. Imperious, you're crashing the web. A racist, sad simp, no respect, no cred. 9-finger clown swinging wild, missing shots, burned to ash, left with nothing but knots. Imperious, you're trolling in vain. No skills, no heart, just.
There you go.
That's super funny. Nine-finger clown. That was funny, dude. That's really
actually
funny.
Low-key a bop.
That was really, dude. That was funny. Like I was actually laughing pretty hard in the background. Yeah, what did you say? You want a white girl, but you're chasing them off like a road. Like that was pretty good, dude. I like it. That was good.
You see, you guys do not understand. I'm a really excellent lyricist. Now I cannot
play the link. My real theme song is the link I just put in the back. Put that on real quick. It's not TOS. It's not copyright. Just play the damn song. This is my theme song. I played this on.
No, I'm not doing this.
It's not no. There's no word. No, it's not TOS. I played it on 6 different shows. This is my theme song when I go on panels now. So I need just play this, and this is how I'm introduced now when I go on panels. So just play the song real quick, Kat, please. Your audience will enjoy it. It's very funny. It's entertaining.
Everybody, close your ears. There's a lot of N-words and slurs.
No, it's not a Rickroll. No, it's a damn good song. It thing bangs, dude.
We do not endorse this song.
I feel like slapping a nigga today. I feel like slapping a nigga today.
Okay, it just repeats that.
No, the lyrics are genius. Keep going.
This is not genius.
Motherfuckers on the road, where the hell they learn to drive. Jive turkeys at my job, about to get a cool, cold, mean 5. Should've took the day off, might slap my boss. My own damn kids pissing me off, as if I hadn't had enough. Chipotle, fuck my goddamn order up. I'm fed up, I feel like slapping a nigga today. I feel like slapping a nigga today. I feel like slapping a nigga today.
Okay, come on, Randy. I mean,
what, Cat? This is a better song. This is a top 5 Billboard fucking hit. Are you kidding me? This would be the best selling song. Are you kidding me? This speaks to the heart.
Randy.
The line about people's driving, I felt that in my soul.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I want to slap my boss. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to slap their boss?
Jesus.
Play the damn song. Listen to the bartender. No, play the song.
Don't you see me waving you down? This guy came after me. I was here first, but you serving him rounds. No, I bought the Uber here. My friends expecting me to buy it back. Tomorrow morning, I better get a cash app, or every last one of you motherfuckers getting slapped. Bet that. Whoa, I feel like slapping a nigga today. Whoa.
See, this is why I know it's a good song, because Cat's like rolling her eyes. Women don't know what's good and what are hits. That's why the best producers are men. Well, I've been bumping this all weekend in my car. I've been blasting this shit.
With these thoughts in my head,
I pull up the
the
stoplight.
world would be better off if I just stayed my ass in bed. Whoa, I feel like slapping a nigga today. Whoa,
like, Cat, do you ever just wake up and want to slap a nigga that day? Come on. And it's not a black person. It's just slapping some idiot. You know what I mean?
Calm it down.
Yeah, what does it matter? You even said yourself
That's a
earlier.
jam. You don't even. Yeah, Cat, that's a
monetized.
jam. You don't even know what you're talking. Like, dude, if that song was produced and made, like an actual, dude, that would be a goddamn huge hit.
I'll be the guy that performs it.
I mean, Cat, have you heard H
today? Oh,
hey, Cat, have you heard HH, but the big band 1960s version?
I'm good. I
Why
am.
are you such a loser? This is why girls aren't cool. This is what I'm saying. Like, you don't know what's cool. You don't know how to be like the in crowd or what. Like, this is the thing. Girls just are the girls that are the popular girls are just the ones that the popular guys want to fuck.
Okay,
see, and that's what
tone it
that's
down.
what Cat was used to. Cat was used to just being banged by a bunch of
Okay,
like.
no. We're not talking.
Well, we're talking about the gay guy that you hooked up with, though. Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
I
That's
had
still
2 stupid boyfriends, and then I met
2 gay guys too. That's hilarious. That's what's fun.
I'm not going to deny that.
The fact that they were gay, and the fact that and then you go to Steve, who looks close to gay, is kind of the funniest part about it. you went the closest you could without crossing the line. I mean, Steve is Ryan Seacrest's like brother. So, I mean, what do you... Jesus, come on.
Isn't Ryan Seacrest gay?
No, he's not gay. He's just super metro. Apparently, he bangs a bunch of chicks. No, he's... Dude, when he was in his prime, when he was on all that shows and shit, he was slamming pussy all day, dude.
Okay, let's try to tone down
Cat
the
origin story. Well, it begins in 1723. You know what I mean? Like, that's when Cat was born. So, I mean, we can start there if we have to.
Back in my day,
there was no such thing as running water.
Oh, shut up. If you had like more than like 3 boyfriends before you got married, like there was something wrong with you.
Is that why you didn't date them? You just let them hit it and quit it?
Oh my God, Randy, no.
Yeah, they couldn't be known as boyfriends. They were just, they were just rotation for the night,
Nobody did that.
Poor Steve. I mean, Cat, you know who we need? We need Mini Cat here. She's the cool one. Where's she at?
It's her bedtime like an hour ago.
Bullshit. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Shut up.
Exactly.
What kind of tyrant are you?
I'm a big tyrant. I am.
Big. You're a midget. What are you talking about?
Well, it is what it is.
No, dude, she's already smarter than you. Why are you not going to bed before she is?
Also, she has been training because she saw like a little bit of Jake on the stream being like all disrespectful. So she says she's going to do like a whole like routine as
Oh,
Trump.
let me train her, Kat. Let me train her.
You've had
She
your
wants to
daughter
be
on the
like,
stream?
she wants to, with a mask and stuff like that. I'm not ridiculous.
Yeah, she's not really on. No, she's not gonna put her on. Like, come on, dude. Kat, like, let her be my apprentice. I'll turn her to the dark side. Let me make her evil, Kat. Like, let me make her like an evil little like mini cat troll that goes on all these panels and like calls people cocksuckers and stuff.
Oh my God, no, she's classy. Now, she does do a mean interpretation of like, what's it called? Impression of Trump. So she's going to do that.
Does she really? That's funny.
She's really good. So we're training her.
But the thing is, I bet she could debate better than you did on that stream you were on, that debate stream.
Of course she can.
Dude, you were
she doesn't know what the hell she's
pathetic.
talking about. Yeah, she has no life experience. She would just be like you, just talking out of her ass.
Neither do you. What life experience do you have? You've been taking care of your whole life. Stop it. You've been like the most pampered chick ever. You're just like my ex, except my ex actually traveled around the world. Like you didn't even get the worldly traveling. You just sit in like your little house with your rich mom and dad took care of you until some man took over and now he's taking care of you. Stop it.
What is the big deal, Simperius? Stop being
No,
so
it's not a
jealous.
big deal. I'm not saying a big deal. It's fine. No, I don't care. I'm just saying poor Steve, he makes like $20K a year and you're already draining all of that.
Oh my gosh, calm down.
Could you imagine how much he has to do? So there's 2 mini cats. Are they how far are the ages apart at least?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, so one's older. One's got to be older. I
No.
think this.
Wait, Kat, I thought you only have one daughter.
I am not telling
No, she
anybody
has
how
2.
many.
She has two.
I keep everything under wraps.
No, she doesn't. She's stupid. She tells me all this stuff, just not around you guys. She has 2. But the thing is that there's this one that doesn't like, that's kind of anti wanting to be known or being identified, doesn't want any association. So the mini cat is the cool one. See, my buddy has 2 daughters that are like this. There's the one that's the cool one that just like messes around and then there's the other kind of conniving, like kind of evil one. You know what I mean? And I'm assuming the other one's kind of the evil one.
That one's
you know
gonna
what I
be
mean?
Slut.
What?
That one's gonna be the slut. The rebellious.
No.
or
We're not
the
having
evil
any
one,
of
or-
those.
No, I don't think they'll be the slut. I think the cooler one would end up being more like the slut like Cat, because look at what Cat did. I mean, being around gay people all the time.
They'll
and
both
stuff
probably
like,
be sluts. I mean, they're cats.
Oh my God,
yeah, I mean, it is modern
It's her-
America. so,
you know, it's like Apple doesn't
He's
fall
gonna-
far
look
from
at
the
Cat's all
tree.
upset. She's like, wait, what do I say here?
They're
Look at her.
all of them, all the many children I may or may not have will be in
The
contact.
many, yeah, right. The many. Cat wouldn't have more than 2. Steve's probably like, I want 5. You get 2, and that's all you get. And you'll have to take care of me the rest of my life.
Okay. First of all, the only reason
Cat,
why
we
we
know your
only
pussy's
have
loose, but it's not from
Shut
kids.
up, Randy. Shut. The only reason why we stopped having kids is because of Steven, not me. That's right.
bullshit, Cat. No. That's bullshit. You're the one that would be like, no, that's all.
True.
Get him on here. Get him on here. I'll ask him. Get him on here. Get him on here. Get him on here, Cat.
It was
Give me
actually
a-
Steven, but the reason that he wanted to stop having kids is because he couldn't handle having one
Well,
more child.
Yeah, another
come back.
girl. He probably couldn't risk another
he
girl.
couldn't. No, he couldn't handle the fact of having one more child, and then the paternal test comes back that it's not his.
Oof. Well, she did. You know, I could see. Cat is always talking about the really tall
First
guys
cat
he's
night,
been with and
apparently.
stuff. Yeah, Steve's not that tall. He's like what, 6 foot? Steve, Cat. What is he, like 6? Cat.
I think he's like 6'2". Wait, how
Is he
old
really?
is
I
he,
didn't
or
think
how
he was
tall
that
is
tall.
he?
That's pretty tall then. If he's 6'2".
Old or tall?
Tall.
Okay,
How tall is he?
like 6'2".
That's pretty tall. Okay, I thought he was like 6 foot.
Look, let me tell you something. Nobody I have dated has been short.
But see, that's what I'm trying to say. So you probably dated like a guy who's like 6'7" or 6'8" at one time.
No. The tallest was 6'4".
Still, but fucking giant. Those are like Sasquatch people.
Yeah. And you know
Like my
what
buddy-
pisses me off is when tall girls get mad at me. Like I'm supposed to like date small
You are.
people
No,
because
you,
I'm
no, you're
small.
supposed to say short people.
No. You're supposed to make your kids have the best chance
No,
possible. So if you
no.
want normal sized kids and you're short, you need to find someone who's abnormally
No, but the
tall.
genes of height usually are drawn from the woman's side.
It has nothing to do with nothing.
Dude, because if that was true,
No, because if
Shaq's
that was
kids-
true,
'cause
then I would
Shaq's
be
wife
tall.
is like 5'1".
Who?
Shaq's wife is like 5'1".
I don't
I'm
know.
pretty
Whenever
sure
people mention
I'm pretty
celebrities,
sure the
I'm pretty
method that
sure that
doctors
they're
use I'm pretty sure the method that doctors use to estimate what the offspring's height will be, and obviously it's not perfect, but it's
not.
fairly close usually.
I
They
was
add
supposed to be 5'8".
so you take
doctors.
the height of the mom and the dad and add them together, divide by 2, and then for boys you add I think 4, and I think for girls you subtract 4. I'm pretty sure, and that's in inches.
Yeah, I could see something like that. Yeah, something
I'm
like that.
pretty
That's
sure
yeah,
that's the form.
yeah.
I know
That's
if you
something.
add the
I don't know
heights
how they
together in
do it, but
inches
yeah.
and divide by 2, I forget the number that you add
But
or
yeah, I mean, it's
subtract
probably
for
some
boy or girl.
mean.
I
Yeah,
think
it's some
4.
mean adjustment by that probably.
And it's
But
obviously not perfect, but it's usually pretty close.
like, is Mini Cat already taller than you, Cat, or no?
The same.
Okay, so then, and she's what, 12, right? So yeah,
We're not saying anything on the internet.
shut
She's
up. That's not what
25.
matters. Okay, whatever. Okay,
Oh,
so
cool.
at
Send me
that
her
age, if
number
she's
then.
already tall,
In
that's
that
because
case,
she
send me
got
her
the
number.
height from her dad. That means Steve is pretty decently tall then, because if she's already what, you're 5'1", so I mean,
No.
she's 12.
I'm not
Yeah, so she,
5'1".
yeah, you are. Well, you're 5 foot 5'1". Yeah, 5'5", same thing. She'll probably be up like 5'6" or something, 5'5". She'll probably end up being like 5'5" or 5'6".
Look, it doesn't matter.
Like an actual woman, not a hobbit, you know.
Whatever.
Dude, you even wear, look at, you're wearing those like 1970s jeans too that hug up under your belly
They
button and
are
stuff.
writhing up, as I
Yeah,
say.
high rise. Yeah, dude, like that. You make me want to watch Dazed and Confused now or something.
Just reminds me of a grandpa.
Yeah, yeah. Are you gonna wear
Pants up-
suspenders next, Cat?
Pants up to your goddamn nipples.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
gross.
It's not
gonna wear
hard for your
suspenders.
pants to be up to your nipples though, with how low down your nipples
I know.
are.
I mean, I can see Cat wearing like.
Saggy boob
Imagine like
shows.
she puts on a pair of pants and it goes like up to her under her chin. Like I could see Cat. Like, you know what I mean? She's just a midget. Like Cat, like a man's pair of pants. Like Steve's pants probably go up to your chin if you tried to try them on, huh?
I'm not listening.
I know. I know. Yeah, I mean, I'm just living the life of Steve. You never listen to him. I mean, that's probably what you do when he's talking to you too. Just go on your phone. Oh, what? Oh, okay, sure.
She doesn't like when it's done back to her. I wasn't.
Oh, I
listening to
know.
her
When
earl-
he ignores her,
I wasn't
she gets
listening to her
all
earlier, and
pissy.
she got pissed.
Oh, she gets all pissy if Steve's like not paying attention to her. Oh, she gets all pissy, dude. It's really funny.
Okay, let's address this. Tall guys need to be with short girls, and then
No.
tall girls need to
No.
be with short guys. So then everybody gets normal sized people.
No.
That's not how it works.
How it works.
No.
No, it's not.
No. As a 6'3" guy, she needs to be probably at least 5'6", if not 5'7".
That's just because you're heightist.
No, it's
Well,
called.
yeah.
It's called. No, it's called beat.
It's 'cause
Like
I want my sons to be, not
decently
fucking
height.
midgets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Cat, you're a midget. Like that's the problem. Like you're because you're so short to the ground. Like you have a completely different like view of what the world is. Literally.
Like when I was a fuckboy, yeah, I mostly went for like short girls that were like 5 foot to like 5'3" or 5'4". But then
I mean, I
then
like short girls anyways.
I've
like
matured.
that, you know.
I've matured.
I mean, I like
and
short
I'm
girls.
like,
I
you
think
know what?
girls are
That's not
supposed to be
good
short.
but that's not good for long term.
But no, it's good for spinning.
Prospect.
They spin, dude.
Okay,
They're spinning.
okay. Anyways, Superiors, did
Cat,
you see?
Cat. Why? Stand up real quick. Let me see how those. Let me see those hip huggers. How fat they are on you. You probably have a jelly roll over the side, don't you? Do you have those rolls over the side, Cat?
No, that's why they wear high-waisted pants, because they tuck their fucking.
But that's what I'm saying.
tummy
She's so
into the
fat that she has
pants.
no waist. It's just jelly. It's just hanging over the sides of the jeans. That's all it is. Look at Cat. Did you show him your fat wings or no?
I will beat you.
She hasn't shown you that. When she jiggles her wrist, like she keeps her hand still and jiggles her wrists, the triceps jiggles like
Can you stop talking shit, Imperius? Just for like 2
I'm
seconds
just like they're
of
called
your
fat
life.
wings.
That might
your
not be
life.
fat. That might just be saggy skin.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Well, she probably blew up after her pregnancy and then shrank back down.
Shut up.
Listen to her. She's so bad. I think she'll get more viewers if people just roasted her all day on her streams. Like that, I think.
Little whore. I swear.
Look, she's talking to Mini Cat. She called Mini Cat a whore right there. Look at that.
No, there's nobody else here, just you.
Cat put on a tank top.
No, I don't want to.
How is this funny for you?
Because Cat, like, the thing that's funny is like seeing you as like a sexual object would be looking at like a female.
up.
No, but it'd be like looking at like a female dwarf. Remember how in the Lord of the Rings they said like you can't really differentiate between dwarf women and men? That's kind of what I would see Cat. Like you can't really differentiate, you know? I mean, back in the day, Cat was probably semi-attractive when she was thin and actually like looked like a woman and had like an indented waist, but now she's just wide and you know what I mean? Like it's just she's got that like mom.
She'd also need her Duff standing next to her.
Yeah. And remember, Cat got laser for her
Can you guys
mustache.
talk about like the topic of
No,
today?
but we are. Randy, did you know she had to go the whole way and get a laser for her mustache?
She was looking more like fuck. I can't think of a Mexican dude name.
Looking more like Khalil every day, not Cat, Khalil. Khalil Ibn Sa Ibn or something. That's her new name.
Oh my god.
Cat, without us making fun of you, you'd be you would think way too highly of yourself. Like that's what we can't have happen. The thing that's really funny about Cat is she's super, super shy and insecure, like not on the internet. Like in person, she would never say any of this in person or joke around. She's super like, dude, yeah, Cat is she's an agoraphobe. I don't even think Cat likes to leave her house very much.
No, I don't.
Like, yeah, she's an agoraphobe, dude. Like, remember, if you're that much of a midget and you're looking up to everyone, like everyone could step on you all the time, it's kind of a scary thing, you know? Like, if I was an ant, I wouldn't want to leave safety all the time either. Cat, from that angle right there, you look like what was her name? God damn, I'm trying to remember that chick's name.
Stop insulting me.
No,
I'm
it wasn't
not
an insult.
that chick from. You guys always say that I'm that.
What,
chick
Evanescence girl?
I don't know who that is.
The singer chick from Evanescence.
What does she look like?
Look her up.
Evanescence. Oh god, it's never like a good-looking person.
Oh,
I look
wow.
like a gothic chick. This is a hideous chick.
Body by SpongeBob as well.
No, I mean it's true. I mean, yeah,
the
she
square
has,
build. The square build.
No. It's called a pear body, dude. Yeah, have you ever had girls talk about the body?
Oh my god, shut up!
See, Cat, no. See, I've been around. I've dated, dude. The girls that are hot are always afraid of having the pear body, and that's what Cat has. It's like the little head, and then just gets wider as it goes to the hips. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
So I do not look like the Evanescence girl.
Yeah,
okay?
you do, Cat.
In no way.
No, she's fat.
Oh my god.
That Cat's a lot fatter. I forgot. That's true.
Cat, so this is what we have people on. People to insult you. This is your gig now.
Look.
He's never had as many viewers as when I come and insult her, ever. Her biggest shows of all time have all been when I'm on here just insulting her and Steve while we're all drunk. That's her biggest shows.
What a celebrity.
Shut up, bitches.
Dr. Melons.
Or when Mini Cat is on, because everyone likes seeing her own kid abuse her and make her look like an idiot. Because at 12, she's already smarter than Cat is.
I swear to God, this little shit, you have no idea.
Yeah, I know she's a little shit, but she's smarter than you are.
I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about you.
Dr. Melons.
Steve,
what are we even talking about here? What was your subject?
About Cat's mustache.
No, shut up, bitch. We were before Simperius came on. We were talking about conspiracies and how the economy is going to crash, money is going to crash, and how the elites are making like their little breakaway civilizations to try to.
They're going to fly to Mars, right, Cat? They're going to fly to Mars.
Not
They're underground. They're underground.
Underground.
Yeah,
because they're lizards.
Shut up. No.
Yeah, they're
the Greys, Cat. It's the Greys. The Greys, Cat. They're doing it all. The Greys.
Jesus.
I'm telling you, the Dr. Melons is going to be a way better brand than this shit.
This isn't a brand. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, look. The thing
We gotta
is, you
get those
remember.
melons out. We gotta milk
No,
the
but
last.
they're padded, dude. They're padded. Stop.
I
She's
do not wear padding. How
Yeah,
dare
she
you?
do. There's no
They
way
give
she
you
gained
cancer.
40 pounds in tits from her kids. Like
No,
Kat
yeah,
with that.
I didn't
Kat
say
had
that.
the
I didn't say that.
Kat, you had the body of a 12-year-old boy before your kids. Okay, now you're telling
A
me
hot
that you'd
12-year-old boy. Thank you.
Now
Okay,
you have
well,
the
I'm
body
just.
of a Russian nesting doll.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's that's great. That's perfect.
What are those called again? It starts with like an M, I think.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah, and you know what's funny is she's so fat that a lot of other ones could fit inside her too. She's so fat.
Oh damn!
What happened?
No, I was watching the fight.
Yeah, Dagashvili's fighting tonight.
I'm watching live.
Nice.
Yeah, Kat. I think what you need to do is get your husband on here because Steve's a lot funnier to see the interaction between you two to see how much that he's lost his soul. I mean, the poor guy is just kind of he's given up. I mean, have you ever seen? There's a reason he doesn't take his sunglasses off because you'd see the dead behind the eyes. If people wouldn't want to. I mean,
the eyes, Chico.
The eyes, Chico. They tell the window to the soul. Shut up, Anson.
No.
Anson just mad she's not stripping and getting a golden shower or something. Anson's a freak, dude.
Anyways, I got nothing else for today.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go. I'll see. Call me later. Bye.
Bye.
Kat, in general, you don't have anything up there anytime.
What are you talking about?
There's nothing going on up there in your head, anyways. I mean,
Right.
Well, no, I'm just.
Anyways,
Look at the fat wings. Look at them.
just need a little
I
break.
just
you know?
realized
just a little break.
maybe I'm a little retarded.
Why?
Because I just now realized that you don't have your fucking dingy ass fish tanks behind you anymore.
That was like a year ago, Randy.
Well, they don't come around too often.
Yeah. Anyways, so it's been 3 hours. I am done. I'm exhausted. And Simperius is going off again. So I will see you all next time. And thank you for coming. And please excuse Simperius. He has developmental delays, but we wish him well. And that's it. And thank you for coming, Randy, and hanging out.
I always come.
Gross.
Television screens bright and loud, sell your dreams, make you proud. Pop the bubble, see the cage you're in. Start the revolution, let the truth begin. Wake up, they're feeding lies. Control media's got you hypnotized. Trust authority, they'll take your soul. Break the chains, find your own control. It's hard to be awake without you.